Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q, episode 93. My name is Red, I am joined by Mel.
I wonder if this training will have transferable skills for when the vehicular manslaughter alien comes.
God, you'd hope. You'd hope. Also joined by Potato Jeremy?
Yeah, it's me, Potato Jeremy.
What have you done with Brad?
You won't be hearing from him. He failed his training.
He failed? No!
Yeah,
no.
He got beheaded by the triple scythe machine.
Okay, so regarding last week's question from Shane, we were not aware. I think we severely underestimated the trainings that were going to get thrown at us in this show. We're going to have to answer that question again at the end of this series.
Yeah.
Because our answers were not up to snuff.
There was an escalation in this batch that I did not expect from, the second batch.
This is, come here, young man. I'm going to teach you how to defeat this alien. Hits you with a car. What the fuck is going on?
He's like, this isn't real training. This is real training. He runs you over.
You wouldn't know real training if it hit you in the face with a car, by the way. So yes, we watched 3 more episodes of Ultraman Leo, and spoilers, Moroboshi Dan is fucking on one. What is his problem?
He's mad.
He's big mad.
Is this what divorce energy does to you?
This is what something energy does to you. It immediately became obvious that this was not supposed to be Moroboshi Dan. And also, now that it is Moroboshi Dan, it has created something that is like a high wire act of do I enjoy this? Is yes, and then sometimes it's like, ooh, dude. We'll get that. In the meantime, usual shit. I can go first. Because I got one, I finished Yuru Yuri Season 2. And back when I finished Yuru Yuri Season 1, I didn't talk about it, really. So I'm just going to briefly mention that I really like Yuru Yuri. I think it's cool. I think it's, it's not to everyone's tastes. I would not necessarily go around recommending this show to everyone. It's maybe a little abrasive, especially the first 15 minutes of the first episode of Yuru Yuri are especially you got to stick with it until it reveals the premise of the show, the central joke of. Do either of you two know what the central joke of Yuru Yuri is?
I don't even know what Yuru Yuri is.
Yuru Yuri is that
oh, it's this girl. I think I had this exact same reaction last time you brought this up.
that faded pastel style of all the girls, and it's got slice of life vibes, but it is also just a wacky comedy. So about 15 minutes into the first episode, the show reveals its central joke, which is that the main character, Akari, is completely unremarkable. And all her friends are like, damn, you're barely a person. And that's everything else kind of goes out from there is the idea that you've got all these wacky cartoon characters, and then you've got Akari, who's just oh, she's you're a good girl. That's your defining trait. And I
remember seeing many memes of her a long time ago.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
And Yuru Yuri's that nice little bit of anime comedy where it's got it's mean spirited. I need my comedy shows to be a little bit mean. I like them with bite. And this has got plenty of that. So that was very nice.
Yeah. Well, we need things to fill the Seinfeld shaped hole from not being able to watch Seinfeld anymore.
Mm-hmm. So true. But the season 2 continues, as season 1 did. It's a good time. I like it. Not to everyone's taste. Akari is a legend. She's an icon. Incredible. The incredible scene of her pulling out some chips. That's crisps if you're British. And she goes, "Oh yay, lightly salted chips! I love lightly salted chips." And then it's like 30 seconds of her eating lightly salted chips. Like, this is incredible. This show is incredible.
It's like that fucking. The only thing I've ever seen of Dynazenon is that scene with that lady eating the burrito.
Oh yeah,
the churro. The churro. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also
always
the
a
only
good
thing I've seen of Dynazon. There's like a weirdly moving time travel episode late in season 2, and then after this, Yuru Yuri the anime moves studios. This is the last of the Doga Kobo. Is it Doga Kobo? Is that what they're called? Doga something.
It probably is.
That's the last of Yuru Yuri at this studio. And then it's moving somewhere else. The vibe I am getting is that this is the heyday of Yuru Yuri is when it's with this studio. So RIP F, but I will be continuing. Oh well. There's also I think also just one of the best like these girls are forever stuck in early middle school. They will never grow up. One of the funnies they have like an episode in season 2 where the second years go on a school trip, and we keep cutting back to them, and they're like having the exact same school trip that they had in an episode from season 1, and they all pick up the same souvenirs and bring them back to school, and when they're like, "Here, I got you a souvenir," and find that there's already that souvenir in the room, and they're like, "Wait, what's going on?"
Damn, it's like Endless 8.
It is. Well, that's more anime. I'm watching Endless 8 one episode a week at the minute. I'm getting the real
the authentic experience.
The authentic experience. Yeah, I reached. And
it's probably a better way to do it than like marathoning it.
Yeah. It does mean that I'm waiting around for like 8 weeks, but you know, it's fun.
I should try to watch that show again.
What, Hierarchy? Yeah.
I just did not care for it the first time I attempted.
Alternatively, you could watch things you want to.
Yeah.
You don't have to do homework. It's okay.
Yeah, but I do think enough time has passed that it's like, kind of like Ace Attorney. I'm just like, maybe I just wasn't feeling it at the time.
I've just realized I've been talking very quietly while leaned back in my chair away from the microphone. So, you know, we'll see how that turned out. That's me. Who's up next? Who's done shit?
I've done a few things.
Brad, go.
Me too.
Brad spoke first.
That's what I get.
I've been plexing. I set up a Plex server a little bit ago, but now I've just been like, I don't know why. Sometimes does your brain? This might be a me thing. Does your brain ever just go like, I feel like organizing this like lump of files that I have that I've not yet organized, and you just spend an absorbent amount of time doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing that with all of my fucking anime that I've had spread across multiple hard drives over the past like half decade. Actually, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's probably closer to an actual decade. You know, deleting old versions of shit, retorrenting stuff that has better releases, and just getting all that set up so that when I'm being a lazy fuck in bed and I don't feel like leaving it, I can just turn on my TV and turn on the little Plex app I got there and be like, hey, let's watch some anime at least. So yeah, that's been good. Beyond the... Actually, speaking of anime, this was so nothing that I almost forgot about it, but I figure I can talk about it. Me and my friends, one of them Gundam Brain and one of them not, started Requiem for Vengeance.
Oh, the fake Red Shoulders Zaku team.
Yep, the fucking CG Netflix anime made by, I think, a group of fan animators that were working on a Warhammer 40k thing before they were told they couldn't or something. And then ended up making an official Gundam thing. in our broader Gundam circles, I would say, when this got announced, everyone went, wow, this looks really dumb. And I don't really think too many people gave it the time of day. I know that I didn't jump on this immediately. I was just kind of like, whatever.
I forgot it existed.
So me and my buddy Mark were like, we should just fucking watch this thing. It's only 6 episodes. And then my other friend Julian, who is slowly working his way through 0079, but is like not far in at all, hopped on, and we watched the first 3 episodes. And that is a show about robots shooting each other. And it didn't leave much of an impression so far.
Damn, cool robot.
It's the real military stuff, like 0083 and 08th Mess Team. You know what real Gundam is. Unlike
it's kind of doing that. They keep doing the, like, new type premonition thing. Excuse me, I got something in my throat today. They keep doing, like, the new type premonition thing, but, like, it's not the classic new type sounds or anything. It's just this weird twang, and then she goes, everyone get down or we gotta get out of the building, and it's really corny and bad, and it does not all feel Gundam-esque. It really does feel like this could have been any other IP in a way. And like every now and again they'll reference like Solomon, or, you know, like they'll name drop a Gundam thing. It's kind of whatever. The thing that's really taking me out is I feel like all of the monitors and the actual look of the innards of the Zaku cockpit are lovingly detailed. I just don't think they ever look like any, like, 1 Year War era mobile suit tech stuff as we've seen before, and it's really taking me out. It's like, if you're gonna do the greebly nerd, like, tech mobile suit shit, you could at least, I don't know, kind of make it look like what it looked like in, like, the old OVAs and the original series and stuff. I don't know. Wasn't all that impressed by it. But yeah, that's kind of been nothing. What left a bigger impression was I've been gaming a little bit this weekend because the Fatal Fury beta is currently active. It's an online network test for Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves, the latest game, sequel to Garo, and that's been cool so far. I am terrible at that game. There's no training mode. I probably should download that stupid crack that people have come up with so I can access the fucking training mode. Because this is what always happens with modern fighting game betas. They're like, no, we're just not going to give you a bunch of features like that because we don't want people actually practicing. We want them playing the fighting game online to do a network stress test. But then people end up using Cheat Engine and other random related programs to, you know, just gain access to that stuff anyways. So it's like, well, what was the point? Just give it to me up front. But yeah, game is cool. It looks really good. I'm terrible at it. I think this is maybe the worst win-loss ratio I've had in, like, an online ranked game.
Finally, it's my time to shine.
There you go.
I installed it yesterday, so I need to actually play it.
I think part of my problem is that, so instead of doing something smart like Street Fighter does, where you play 10 placement matches against real-life people, this game starts you off fighting 3 increasingly difficult CPU opponents, and then it uses your performance there to determine where you should be in the ranked mode. And I think I just did really good against the CPU because they put me way too fucking high. And I'm out here against killers, and I don't know how to Fatal Fury, and it's been going pretty bad. So, but regardless of that, I have been having an enjoyable time, and I do feel like if I sit down with the game a little bit longer to, like, learn how combo structure works, because Fatal Fury is different, where you are, like, canceling moves into other moves and linking stuff together and stuff like that, but you also have this mechanic where you can basically interrupt your own moves, and then use that interruption to, like, cancel into other shit that you normally couldn't do, which makes it very freeform and complex. It's just, it takes a lot of time and precision to master. It is a very... Yeah. I would say, if you are... know how many people we have listening to this that are like this, but if you're one of the people that's like, you know, bitching and moaning online about how modern fighting games are for babies and they made everything too easy, this is a game made for those people. And it's been pretty cool, but it's been taking some time wrapping my brain around, and I don't feel like I fully necessarily understand what it's asking of me so far, so definitely want to spend some more time with it while it's still up, and I'm looking forward to getting that game when it's finally out in a few months here.
Yeah. I feel like the break system in Garo, which this game has as well, is like a predecessor of FRC and Plus R. That's my theory.
I mean, it makes sense. I also do. And this is me being early on yet, but I came away with the feeling that when I do an FRC, like the very limited like Guilty Gear experience I have, I'm like, okay, this is like a skill-based extension I can do to like get even more damage out of something. With Garo, it feels like you need to be doing that way. Like, I feel like you can play Gear for a ways without...
It's adapt or die.
Yeah, like, I feel like you can play a bit of Gear before you really start digging into the FRC stuff and feel like you can... You know, feel like you can get somewhere or do some damage. With Garo, I feel like me not knowing how to break effectively, it means I just can't play in a lot of ways. Again, this might just be who I'm up against, but it's been rough. I definitely came away with it after my first session. Like, man, I don't know. I kind of just wish I could do these moves together and not have to break, but I was like, I'll learn it eventually, and I'm sure once it clicks, it feels really good to learn like the technical intricacies of it and what it allows you to do. But it definitely is a skill gate that I got hit with right away in a way that I'm not used to from a lot of contemporary fighting games, that's for sure.
How's the announcer?
Well, the English dub's kind of whatever.
Oh. I mostly ask because I feel like there's just like a unique tenor to the announcer in a Gargo that's just funny.
It's pretty good.
He's like, Rock Howard.
Did you see the win quote about targeting the rich?
No,
I did see the. Okay, I saw another win quote that was someone like there's like a specific win quote when it's like a girl with glasses up against like someone who has a specific move. He's like, "Hey, do you think if I drank your blood, I could do this specific move?" I'm sorry, that was an insane thing to say. That's the win quote.
Here we go. Okay, yeah, so Vox, who I think maybe is a antagonist. I don't actually know. But his one quote is, and I quote, "Next time you target the rich, think about who'll end up suffering the most. The pain trickles down in pools, inevitably drowning the people at the bottom."
Holy shit. Trickle down economics for pain.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, I've mostly been dicking around with Rock Howard. Well, okay, I played a little bit with Rock Howard, and I spent most of my time trying to learn Mai, because I was like, I think that'll be fun, and also I think your new design for this game is sick as fuck. And I don't necessarily know if I know how to play Mai well. I should probably try out some more characters, and I might be doing a little bit better as well. So
I wonder if she plays different. Now there's like two versions of Mai you can play between Street Fighter 6 and Garo.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can, having played a little bit of Mai in Street Fighter 6 recently, it definitely does feel like, and I'm probably talking out of my ass a little bit here, but it definitely feels like Mai in SF6 feels a little bit more like an all-rounder compared to the Mai in Garo, who I think is a little bit more dedicated to, like, pokes and trying to space out your opponent.
I see. Also, how does this feel to KOF? Because you played that.
Definitely different. This game is a lot heavier, which I've been told is honestly just kind of the case with Fatal Fury in general compared to KOF. I have very limited Fatal Fury experience prior to this. I've played a fair share of Garo 1 in my time, and it definitely does feel in line with that, but KOF I think is definitely a lot looser in a way that clicked with me a little bit better. And I think there's a degree of accessibility to like combo architecture in KOF that in Fatal Fury it's like, oh shit just feels a little bit tighter. So
I think that makes sense, both because like hops are kind of a big part of mobility in KOF that I don't think is necessarily true.
Oh no, that's true in Fatal Fury as well.
Okay,
at least this one. I'm sure probably in Garo as well.
And then also like there's some degree of probably like interchangeability they're doing when you have like 60 characters and you have to pick.
Yes, I do think that's a big part of it. Whereas like KOF, they want you to be able to hop in, pick 3 people, and not feel too intimidated. In this game, you have the one character whose moveset you need to learn, and then on top of that, there's a bajillion different like system mechanics in this game. Like you have a special state that you enter, kind of like in the original Garo, where you get to choose a third of your life bar before the match that
the top system
that powers you up. It's called something different now. They changed the name, but basically you go into this state that allows you
it's homophobic
to do like a fake drive impact from Street Fighter to like crush people that are being too offensive on you and stuff like that. You also have these different like feint like attacks that you can do to fake out the opponent. And there's just like a bunch of universal mechanics that everyone has access to that it's going to take a bit of time to figure out how they all work and when's the best time to make use of them. But I could tell that it's going to be a fun game to learn at the very least if you stick with it in the long haul. I'm curious how I feel about it after it's out and I have some time to stick with it. I did sign up for it at Combo Breaker just because I'm like, yeah, I think it'd be fun to play like one SNK game like kind of seriously for a month. We'll see if I stick with it after that. I'm a big fan of the leaked DLC roster that seems to be out there, so we'll see.
Sick.
Nice.
I guess segueing, Mel, there's one thing we did separately together.
Yeah. Once again, we're back after a billion years.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Toho list,
Timeout.
and I was like, we should probably get back to that. So I asked Mel to continue with the Toho watch-along. We watched Dogora.
Oh, that Toho. I was so... Okay.
Oh, no, I've been playing,
Go on, name one. Name one. Don't look them up. Name one. Name one. Come up with a Toho name.
Antinomy of Common Flowers.
Unfortunately, that's the fighting game.
Damn.
Not the show.
Anyway, Toho movies.
Yeah. Dogora.
Is it Dogora or Dogora?
I don't fucking care.
Okay. Toho. Dogora. Yes. Okay. So, this is a movie about diamond heists, and then also a space jellyfish appears. It's fucking sick.
Yeah, I figured you'd like it. And I also liked it. Yeah, I feel like in some ways it feels like an Ultra Q.
It does. It really does.
In the way it's like the plot is about like normal guys doing normal things, and then also cosmic horror intrudes on their life.
There's a point where the cops are trying to work out the global diamond heists that have been going on, and then the main investigator protagonist man is like, well, it's probably something to do with this monster that's appearing everywhere. And then the chief of police is just like, our job isn't dealing with monsters, it's solving diamond heists, get to it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that, because like I feel like there's a tendency in kaiju movies where it's like, you meet the kaiju once, and now your protagonist who's roped into the operation, even if you're just like a random guy off the street. But then when there's like the people who have, there's people whose job it is to deal with the kaiju, and the people whose job it is to deal with the diamonds keep dealing with the diamonds. instead of evolving with even though, obviously the diamonds are wrapped into it. But do you want to just give a brief summary of the movie?
Yeah. There's a group of thieves who have been attempting to steal diamonds throughout Japan, but keep getting thwarted because the diamonds they steal are always fake. This is being investigated both by Japanese police, but then also a Diamond G-Man, as he calls himself.
An agent of chaos.
Agent of chaos. The token white man in this movie, Mark Johnson.
Who is an incredible man.
He is an incredible man. He just shows up to cause problems. He could be doing everything by the book. He just chooses not to. And it's his job to take down the diamond thieves, while also... just for no good reason, complicating the efforts of the Japanese police to also thwart the diamond thieves. While all this is happening, the diamonds and coal of the world, hint hint, both made out of carbon, are being sucked up into space by this weird cosmic entity known as Dogora, which is a giant fucking jellyfish that appears to feast on the carbon.
But we almost never get to see it because we just see the weird cosmic space clouds and the tentacles come through.
And it's stealing all the carbon.
And the effects are sick.
And eventually these two subplots intertwine. They discover that it's weak to bees.
Quick, get the bee gun. Get the Ultra Guard bee gun.
So they
I'm like, this is what they wanted to do in Ultra Stuff.
Yeah, so they take out the, secretions of bees from, their stingers or whatever the fuck, and put that in ammo, and then shoot it real good, and then that makes it fall apart and turn into rocks, I think. I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't follow this last part very well. I was just I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's this point where the details don't actually matter, especially because it's all Ichinotani songs.
And also the thieves get defeated, and by that I mean also killed. Smushed. Doesn't the one lady get shot?
Yeah.
Am I remembering that right?
Yeah.
She was cool. There's a cool femme fatale figure in this movie who's having fun.
Yeah, Mark Johnson is
what a guy.
Presence. Yeah,
this movie is good. This movie has really good bits.
Like the guys, she's just levitating in the street while sleeping. At the start.
Don't.
And then the cops get him, and they're like, "Hey, wait, why'd you carry me out? What is it?"
Yeah. So Dogora can make things levitate and just will constantly start to make people float for no good reason. The reactions are always good. There's this reoccurring bit where people see shoes poking out from beneath a curtain and they think there's a person underneath, so they dramatically flip open the curtain, but it's just shoes every time. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, it's bait.
Yeah.
And then the one detective guy, he does that. He does that back to Mark Johnson because Johnson does it first. And then Johnson's like, "Listen, I'm going to meet some of the criminal guys. Can you leave? Can you leave?" And then the detective's going through the door, and then Johnson's like, "No, can you leave the way you came?" And the detective goes out the window down the balcony. And then he goes down the balcony and conveniently lands next to the other major character he was going to meet.
My favorite Mark Johnson moment is this movie is when the protagonist corners him and goes, "Wait, what? Why did you use a fake passport to get into the country if you're a government official?" And he went, "Isn't that how you do things around here? Ninjas and everything?"
Incredible.
He karate chops the detective, and he's like, "Damn, you got hit by a karate chop when you're Japanese." Shame.
Oh my god.
It's okay. At the end of the movie, they give a friendly handshake, and Mark Johnson's like, "I'd like to include you in my reports," and the protagonist smiles and goes, "Yeah, you should do that."
Hell yeah, Mark Johnson.
Technically, karate is Okinawan, by the way.
Oh, they pay that off pretty good too, where he judo throws him, and he's actually I'm really good at judo.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Fun movie. Had a good time.
Yeah, it's delightful. I will say, you'll hear about this in coming weeks, but it did remind me a bit of the second Gamera movie.
Mm.
Just that second Gamera movie is less goofy, but it's kind of similar in a lot of ways.
I am
Okay.
Just structurally.
I am thinking back on the kaiju people I knew in ages past that were always like, yeah, the problem with a lot of old kaiju movies is that the monsters only show up for a little bit of time and like it's just boring the rest of it. And I'm just like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's not true. It sometimes the human part of the movie does also just happen to suck. And the monster part is the saving bit a little bit, but when the stuff with the people works, it really works. So
Yeah, like obviously you go into a kaiju movie to see the kaiju, but you're also there to watch a movie, and you want to like the story and the characters.
There's
Sometimes
also
the kaiju is there too much.
yeah.
It can happen.
Sometimes there are too many scenes of cannons shooting at a thing over and over and over again.
Sometimes you get whatever the MonsterVerse is doing.
True.
Where it's like, oh, I guess King Kong is the protagonist now.
Yeah.
Not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes they have weird Thanos gloves or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, next we actually have a Godzilla movie.
Oh yeah, which
Damn, they made
Pretty
more of those?
pretty important one.
do we have?
That's
is it
crazy.
versus Astro Monster or something?
No, it's Ghidorah, the three-headed
Oh
monster.
yeah.
The debut of King Ghidorah.
All of my Ghidorah experience is Chibi Godzilla, where the three heads are like three brothers that constantly bicker and bully
That's
each
a good
other.
bit.
It's pretty good. Shouts
Yeah.
to Chibi Godzilla.
Yeah, you're the biggest fan.
I am. Honestly, I am Chibi Godzilla Raids Again's strongest soldier, probably. Actually.
Yeah. It does need to be said that Mothra vs. Godzilla, Dogora, and Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster were made back-to-back and all released within the year of 1964.
I noticed that looking, because I watched this on Criterion, actually. I realized they have a bunch of like Honda stuff. And I was looking at the years, and I was just like, they were just fucking shitting these out. Jesus Christ, it's insane.
Yeah. It does feel where this like Dogora was like, oh, this is like a middle child of two significant Godzilla movies, and then also this one.
I wonder if this jellyfish ever shows up in any, because I know like later like Godzilla stuff is mining monsters from a lot of these old movies too.
Yeah, it's kind of like from the 50s to mid 60s. It's basically like the Toho Kaiju Pantheon is like a lot of Ishiro Honda movies, and they're all kind of like standalone, but they're all kind of like, once Godzilla becomes the franchise and the only thing they make, it all gets rolled into Godzilla canon.
Yeah.
Even though it's all a bunch of unrelated Ishiro Honda movies. No more criminal. Had to get that in. But yeah, looking forward to Ghidorah.
Same.
Nice. Is that all on that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I think so.
Does Brad have more, or are we moving into Mel?
I think we're moving into Mel territory.
Mel,
Hello.
what you been up to?
Got a couple small things.
All the
Don't have much to.
small things.
I wasn't going to dignify that.
Oh.
Got some Gibson stuff.
Hologram roses by the stairs.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
Well,
continue.
I know you watched a movie. Did you, or was there something else?
Yeah, so I watched last week after Cedric suggested I did watch Tomorrow's
Oh
Calling.
fuck! I forgot to do that.
I also forgot to do that.
Damn, I can't believe I was only
Isn't
one.
it only like 10 minutes?
It's only 12 minutes
Yeah, it's like
long.
12 minutes.
I'm sorry.
You're so
Cedric,
good at
sir.
this.
I'll watch it. I'll
Yeah.
watch it today. Lies to
Yeah.
you.
There's not much to say of it because it's like, oh yeah, they did Gurren's Back Continuum and it was pretty good.
Nice.
And then this morning before our call, I squeezed in New Rose Hotel, and yeah, it's New Rose Hotel, and it was enjoyable.
Nice.
Don't have very much to say about it. Like I was.
How was Amano?
I didn't even notice.
Oh, must have been some.
I didn't recognize him.
Some guy.
I do think it's inspired to have Christopher Walken and Willem Dafoe in the same movie as protagonists.
Yeah.
Uh,
Excellent.
I don't know if this is me talking out of my ass as someone who's not like a film person, but my gut impulse is like, I wonder if Johnny Mnemonic would have been more like this if they went in the Heart House direction.
Mm-hmm. It's possible.
I don't know if Johnny Mnemonic lends itself to art house in the same way as that story does.
It's a little too goofy.
Yeah.
It's what they wanted to make, and I guess maybe there are other reasons why they couldn't actually make an art house movie besides just, the executives.
I mean, there is a degree to which, like, I mean, obviously some movies suffer from it more than others. Most movies got executives fucking with them.
Yeah.
Johnny Mnemonic seems like it got it rough, but I bet New Rose Hotel suffered from it as well to some extent. There's always a middle ground.
Yeah. I do think it's weird because I feel like I need to check the page length of those stories, because I am like, oh yeah, Olive Gurn's Back Continuum, isn't that 12 minutes? And meanwhile, I'm like struggling to remember how much they expanded on New Rose Hotel when that's like an hour, like a 90-minute movie.
I mean, New Rose Hotel. So the thing about the story New Rose Hotel is it's told in retrospect by a character who's experienced all the who's like lived through the events.
Yes,
and so there are like more events packed in there than in Girls Back Continuum. Yeah.
Because like the quote unquote events of the story, like the things that are actually happening in real time, are like in the last half hour of the movie, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then the stuff that's the retrospect leading up to it is like it is like fleshed out, but it's like the first like hour of the movie is that.
Yeah, I mean,
getting the heist and like the details of the affair and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you get the actual conversations rather than the events that happen. Yeah.
I suppose, yeah, you can just make a heist movie out of it. Sick.
Yeah, and it's got like, well, it's also like an erotic thriller. There's a lot of boobs on screen.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. A lot of just like interesting camera shots and colors. Willem Dafoe looks somehow like 10 years younger than he does in Spider-Man, even though like, I don't know, maybe like within 4 years apart.
Man.
At any point does he say, "You moved that way, rhythm of a new age, dreamy and far from any nation's soil"? That sentence has lived rent-free in my head since reading that story.
I don't know if he does.
See, I am now picturing him as this is not a good movie, but he plays a snobby director in like a Mr. Bean movie or something. And I'm now picturing New Rose Hotel as the movie that he made in that movie.
That's funny. But yeah, it was a good time, good vibes movie. I don't know how it is to watch a movie when you haven't read the story first. Because I feel like for me it's kind of like part of the experience is like, oh, I know what the story is and where it's going, and so it's like how they adapt like the getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Is part of it. But I don't know how it hits for someone who's like, this is my first time watching it. But also I think it was like a movie that got panned, but also you know how it is with reviews.
It goes that way sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's worth a watch if you enjoyed the story and enjoy Gibson stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's on my list.
otherwise, watch the first episode of the new Sentai that started this past week.
I hear this is actually on that robot shit.
Yeah. So the season's number 1 Sentai Gozyuger. Because the 50th anniversary, Goju.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trying to, let's see how to describe it. There's like, in episode 0 that describes the backstory is like 2 minutes, and it's sort of like there was there's the Sentai Mecha graveyard.
Okay.
And there's like this is extremely like a we're just throwing you at it and then we'll explain stuff later premiere. Second episode aired yesterday, but I'm watching with a friend now, so I'm not gonna get to it for a bit. But it's like the protagonist is like in the kind of mold where it's like he's like both like weird. He's a twist on like established trope, because you have like a lot of the heroes where like weirdly competent, like Superman guy, like, you know, you got Tendo and Kabuto, for instance, and Momoi, Taro, and Dawn Brothers, where they're just like, there's no reason a normal person should be like this, incompetent. Except the twist with him is that they make him a loser about it, because the episode starts with him like he's working a convenience store job, and he stops the robbery by doing something absolutely ridiculous and cool, like he like squeezes a hot dog to get the oil in his eye, the thief's eye, and it stops the robbery, and then he gets fired for it.
Nice.
And he's like competent, hyper competent but unemployed, and so he's like, oh, I'm a lone wolf. I'm an outcast from society.
This
spoilers.
is
he gets a wolf. He's wolf themed.
okay. So this is the context for the screenshot I saw, which was like some kind of things that number 1 yo Zujo, and then the caption, "I've lost every job I've ever had."
Yes. And there's stuff going on, because, like, you know, there's like the villains do a thing where they attack the city, and then through stuff happens. The protagonist guy, I haven't learned his name yet. He forms a bond with, like, I guess the chosen robots, Sword, which it turns out is that there's an explicit Power Ranger reference there with Megazord. It specifically sounds similar. And funny enough, the episode starts like the main combat sequence of the episode is the mecha battle. Like, he doesn't become a ranger yet until like the last 2 minutes of the episode, and he's primarily just in the cockpit, and I think that's fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, it helps. I think like I don't know if you saw my screenshots of the mecha fight, but the mecha stuff is, at least so far, based on this first episode, it was
the very first thing I saw
really...
of this show was a clip going around on Blue Sky of like a mecha fight, and I was like, what is this? And then I found out it was the new Sentai season, and I was like, okay, well, it sounds like we're gonna have to take back, it sounds like people are gonna have to readjust their whole recent Sentai doesn't go in on the robots.
Yeah.
I think it's the protagonist one just has like design cues that are straight up like Gundam 00 inspired.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I think it helps. I think it helps when they make it. They make it a more mobile looking suit. Not to be confused with Gundam.
I was trying to figure out if that's what you were going for or not.
No, it was unintentional. I realized what I said.
Oh, this looks so sick.
It's like some sort of armored trooper.
Yeah, and then there's a cool mecha fight.
Fire breath spotted.
They got some like funny theme, like the villains, the mooks are like bell themed, like a bell heads. They ding like a bell, and then before the mecha battle starts, like the enemy mecha pilot and the protagonist have like a a throwdown of words, and that's where the context of like him saying "I lost every job I've had" is.
That's pretty good.
Excellent.
And funny thing that has transpired during this event is like, first of all, not first of all, but like to close off the battle, like he ends the battle with like, oh, I'm gonna do some. I beat the enemy robot, but there's like the enemies on the ground, so now I'm gonna get out of the robot and then slide down the arm of the robot and then do my first tension as a ranger to fight then the on the ground bad guys, and it's cool.
Nice.
But there's a fun plenty of expectations they're doing here, because like he meets his former coworker when he's sort of like he gets like in a fight and he's going to an interview, but they tear up his like just a fight with some thugs, not with not actual bad guys, but like his resume gets thrown up, and he's having an exchange with like his former coworker who's like I want to be a great musician, and tries to like have a heart with him. Then the robot attacks, and then the former coworker takes off his glasses, and you realize, oh, this is the same actor as Taya from Boom Boomager. And then the next double whammy is he takes a trinket and transforms into a previous Red Ranger, except it's not Boone Red. He transforms into the Red King Oger, and it's like, what are we doing here? What the fuck?
Okay. This is like all in anniversary.
Yeah. Where I think the thing is like they're gonna play around with expectations where it's like you'll have returning Rangers, but they won't necessarily be played by those people, but they might bring back a former actor as a twist. Apparently they decided to like Toei said, oh yeah, sometimes you have DC stories where Superman becomes Batman, and we want to try something like that.
Does that happen? Presumably that happens.
Apparently.
Presumably that happens.
Listen, there's a lot of Superman and Batman.
I'd believe anything about comics.
And then so the episode ends, and the day is saved, and then he's like, oh, so you signed the contract and became a Ranger, right? And then the protagonist is like, yeah. And I decide I'm going to be the number one. And then not Taya is like, well, I can't let someone like you be a Ranger. And then he transforms, and they start a fight. And it's like, oh, is this the Ranger War? Like the Rider War, but for Rangers? I guess we'll see. It does seem to be like maybe that's part of the premise. And then meanwhile, we just like get the other 4 Rangers of the team just being ominous. I was like, oh, well, there's another one. We will meet next episode.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a pretty zany and wild opening episode. Good set pieces. A lot of explaining to be done in future episodes. But I'm vibing with it. Definitely a shift back to the bombastic and wild after like Boom Boomager was like more tame and normal. But so yeah, we'll see.
Sometimes
we'll see how
sometimes you have to take a step back so you can leap forwards. Lenin regarding the new economic policy.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Curious to see more of how Akiko in a way's like style is. Seems pretty wild in her own way, but like we'll see what kind of character she creates. So
yeah, sick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is that? Are we done?
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy shit! Under an hour. Let's fucking go. This is good. Because one of my summaries is quite long. One of these episodes, I have stuff to say. Can you two guess which one?
Is it episode 6?
Actually, no. It's episode 5.
I was gonna say probably 5. I could see 4 though as well.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, 4's 4. We're following on. So, new segment on this podcast. This might be coming up a lot in Leo. Last week on Ultraman, this is not a very long segment. Gen got his ass kicked by the knife alien and sank into the sea without a trace. Episode 4, An Oath Between Men. we'll be noticing something about the naming scheme of these episodes.
Yes, I sure did.
Featuring Alien Turek, the mysterious alien, Mac, the sports center staff, and all the kids search the beach for signs of Gen. Toru refuses to give up the search, even as night falls. Dan loses hope and mourns the loss of Gen, his new right arm in the fight to defend Earth. But he gets a call with good news. Gen lives. Gen is being taken care of as best as the Jonan Sports Center staff can manage. But he doesn't wake up until he hears the telltale rhythm of Dan's crutch. This owns. Dan gets right down to business and insists it's time to go train. There's a touch here of the secret understanding between the two. Gen grabs his gi and Dan takes him to a small waterfall. Dan tells him, "You must split the waterfall before you fight Turek." Gen does his ridiculous training where he's mostly just punching at a waterfall. And in the meantime, Turek attacks once again. Dan has to use his psychokinesis to drive the kaiju away. Exhausted, he visits Gen to see the progress of his training. It's not going great. Gen is in despair that he can't split the waterfall, and when he sees Dan, he's like, "Yo, you look fucking dead. Did you use the psychokinesis again? You know that shortens your lifespan, right? You can't just go doing that." And then Dan slaps him. Gen insists he can't do it, and Dan asks, "If not you, then who? Your tears can't save the Earth. Get up and keep training." Now that Dan has gone full bright mode, he finally offers a piece of helpful advice to Gen. You cannot split the waterfall if you cannot perceive how the water flows. And then he leaves. Turek attacks once again, and this time Dan engages on foot and tries to fend off a giant kaiju with his crutch. This could be it for Dan. However, Sakura leaves have fallen into the waterfall, revealing the water's flow to Gen. He splits the waterfall, and now it's time to fight. He transforms into Leo and saves Dan. He fights and eventually cuts off Turek's knife arms and lets them fall into the collapsed kaiju. Scratch one knife alien. Later, Momoko says Toru and Kaoru are going to stay with her. Or she's going to live with them in their house? I think that's actually what's happening. They're in like a house. She's moving out of her apartment into where they live. Everyone says goodbye for now, and Gen and Dan walk away along past Cherry Blossom, laughing with each other. Friends and enemies both. The end.
Maybe Rumiko would have gotten a better deal if she could just move into the Cicadas, like, business.
Imagine.
She's like, "Oh, I can take up a car dealership? Sure.
Yeah,
I'll do
all
that."
right. Sure.
She might even be really good at it, too.
Might have been. Instead, she just gets a kid palmed off on her. Rumiko's lot in life continues to be the most miserable of any character in Ultraman. Even Minami, maybe. Like, Minami's flourishing right now.
Yeah.
On the moon, apparently. Stupid.
Apparently.
This episode follows on from last week's. We have amped up the training from there. That was all like kicking trees. This is now you got to split the waterfall. And we get,
and yet it's the least extreme this week.
It's the least extreme this week. And we get our first instance of Dan. It just hits Gen. And this is where we get into the idea that this was not originally going to be Moroboshi Dan, but now that we're here, it's interesting. I'm not gonna complain about that. I think maybe episode 6 is the most like I'm like, what is your problem?
Yeah.
This is like
but I also do wonder if they're just like, this is their weird idea of masculinity.
So getting into this whole thing of like this idea of like, this is amped up on, we got to be manly. You got to be a man. I better not catch you crying again. Presumably some people on the team are like, yeah, this is a good thing to teach the kids. Me in 2025 watching this, I'm like, this is such an interesting look at a man who is not very good at teaching his students.
Yeah. See, you say that. The angle I kept thinking about it is, this is what he's reduced to when he can't do it himself anymore. He's not dealing with it at all. Like he can't handle the fact that he doesn't have that agency anymore.
I think we get a bit of that in episode 6, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's,
I think, I'll also say I think I got the impression just from like stuff mentioned to me from some other friends who are like have some sense of like the state of the industry in 60s and 70s. That's just like there's just like a type of coach that gets popularized because of manga like Star of the Giants that maybe is like producing this. Like we mentioned that like the Gunbuster coach
who I
takes a lot after Dan.
I had always now that I've seen the Dan connection, I'm like, oh my god, it's real. But also I had assumed that guy was just from Aim for the Ace, and presumably he still also is.
Yes, and presumably there's also just like a bigger zeitgeist of like, even if Anno probably locked in on probably did take some things from Dan specifically, but also there's probably just like a bigger cultural footprint of like coaches in this era that leads to that Gunbuster coach as well. So Dan might not even just necessarily be exceptional.
This is true.
But also just like maybe there's just like an execution of like, you know, there's an Ultraman show versus like a sports show.
Yeah, I think even more broadly, and like to be fair, I don't know how much like films about sports, but like the 70s were all about like, in like at least like Western cinema, like all about that like underdog story stuff, and like a lot of that is like the tough mentor figure who like slaps you into shape type shit, right? I'd be curious too if even like some of that's in the zeitgeist. You know, perpetual Japanese and American, you know, cultural exchange going on sort of deal.
Yeah,
I think there, I don't know where it's coming from. You know, I've obviously, I'm not speaking about like the intentions of the people creating this show, but there is more tension in here than in say like Gunbuster, where like the coach is like a hero. This is like this might come out of like some kind of conflict between like the script and like the actor's performance, because I think the script played straight comes across way more as like just a straight Gunbuster coach than it comes across in the actual episodes as acted, because like it's all these little like looks aside of like where you just see like uncertainty and desperation in Dan. And like him coming to the conclusion that he like, I have to be like really tough on this kid, like way more than I want to be, is kind of the impression that's coming across. And it's like, you know, a bad decision, but this is all like part building up into like this character of this like this very fragile man trying to project certainty and authority to Gen, and his way of doing that is like, bro, I'm gonna hit the shit out of you. Like when he the first time he hits Gen is when Gen sees him in a moment of weakness, is when he's like, yo, you're like spending your life force doing this psychokinesis shit. You can't be doing this. And then hits Gen.
It's like Dan frustrated he can't no longer do it despite being the former hero, but also like both frustration and like maybe some jealousy at like Gen can do it, or at least it can transform and can fight and is but also like Gen isn't at the level he needs to be, and he has to raise it up. There's a lot of feelings there, because Gen needs to get better.
Yes.
Dan is frustrated that he can't help, that he also can't do himself, and also just like sometimes is frustrated that Gen just can't isn't on the level
Oh
sometimes.
yeah,
or at least in his view.
I was reminded a lot of old dudes I've worked with, especially, you get this a lot in the automotive industry, where you get people who are old and end up in offices that really fucking wish that they could be out there changing a tire or working under the hood and shit, and they just can't do that anymore. And oh my god, do they have strong opinions about how the people out there doing it aren't as efficient or fast or as good at it as they were. And I was thinking about those guys a lot, watching this batch of episodes.
Dan's feelings come from different contradictory places, where he's not like he resents or hates Gen, but like there is like a feeling of like you don't know how good you have it, and yet kind of thing.
And it's creating this on the one hand, a very funny relationship, where he's trying to murder Gen, and then at the end of the episode, he's like, "My boy, you've done it. Well done." But also there is a degree to which this is like, yes, yeah. But also there is a degree to which this is like real shit, where it's like this this mix of like the affection comes from no, like it's like yeah, secretly I like you, but like I don't want to show it,
because that's not the manly thing.
That's the manly thing to do, and it's, you know, fucks you up. And I think I think episode 5 is the one that is finds the most weirdly miraculous perspective on this. We'll get to that, but I think in
just I just want to say for clarity, because I did some quick research while we're talking, like it does seem like there was a lot of this that's just in Star of the Giants, where like the tough love dad just does unnecessarily dangerous strict training for the child, so it is also just like the cultural is definitely there. But also, this probably speaks to broader ideas of masculinity in the 70s Japan as well. Mm-hmm. That caught on.
I think it's important that this does come across in like father figures in fiction. Because you know, once again, I'm delaying talking about something until episode 5. But in this episode, him like in like mourning, him like sat in the base just like, this is the worst thing that has ever happened, and like with like ticking clock, him on the okay, we didn't talk about the shot of him on the coastline looking out, and then it's like it's the thing where it's him against like the sea glittering with the light of evening, and then focuses on his face, and he just conveys so much sadness in just saying the word Gen, and then it fades back to it, like defocuses back to focusing on the sea behind him. It's fucking hits.
You know what I'm thinking of? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of this shot that I'm putting in the chat with the flowers.
Oh. yeah. It just man.
I think there's a lot of flowers in this episode. I think about it. Like,
there are a lot of flowers.
Like there's a vase in the base, and it feels like it's kind of like
it's got a new flower every episode.
I wonder if they're trying to do some storytelling, because there's a lot of like the flowers associated with their struggles or their relationship or their emotional state. Because there's definitely like
it might be
Gen pondering the flower bit in like in episode 6.
Yeah, there is.
I need to go back and check.
It's a different flower, so we might be doing Heartcat shit.
Yeah,
it might be the symbol that like the tie that they have is that they're both the aliens living on the Earth. So like it's a nice little romantic symbol of like, oh, this is what their bond is they both are the only other people on this planet that can relate to, we're fighting for this thing, we're not even from here, but we love it, so we want to save it regardless, sort of deal.
I think that's also why, well, I suppose they could have done something different if it was like Go who's in this Dan's position instead of Dan, but like I think because it seems like they wanted to do the thing where Gen was an alien and not like a human host in the way Dan is, it makes sense for Dan. There's another reason why Dan is like the ideal choice for
yeah, that's true. I
am really happy with how I feel like there are now layers to Dan that I never would have anticipated us ever getting.
Yeah.
And I think this is just making me double down on, I actually think it's really cool when the old hero turns back up as a bitter old man. I know everyone and their mother is fucking sick of that in modern fiction. I've always been a sucker for it, and I think
it depends on context and execution is the main thing. Like, obviously, like, overexposure does a lot, but also it's like how you do it.
This interpretation of Dan is like as like happy accident turned into something weird and interesting. I'm like, this is
fucking lightning in a bottle.
Really. Yeah, and I also think like it isn't. It's not like it doesn't work entirely either, because it's like there's like remember how like we talked about during the Temperor 2-parter in Taro about like the divide, the ideological divide between the 60s and the 70s Ultraman.
Yeah. Where Ultra 7 and OG Ultraman are genuinely just like, no, this is tough love. This is he's got to work. He's got to figure this out for himself.
And that's how this tough coaching relationship is conceived. Even when I looked up the Star of the Giants, it's like, yeah, his dad is intended to be like tough love. It's just like it's obviously ridiculous in execution when he's doing these things, even if that's create his intent.
I kaiju rankings, sure. What if I compiled like training rankings?
Oh, that'd be amazing
for this show. I'm like these. It's,
do we need a separate
it's
order?
So crazy.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Do we need a separate order?
Yeah, I mean, I could figure out how to do that if you want.
You can make it. Yeah, I can help you.
Sure.
So when I realized this is going to be a weekly occurrence, I like started giggling like a child at the idea that there's a group of men in like a fucking cafeteria somewhere. Like, fuck, what fucking stupid thing do we have in Punch next week? Jesus Christ! Like, what a writing conundrum.
I love the scene where Dan comes to collect Gen. I think it is like a match made in heaven of just all the directorial choices, the actors' performances, and the music, and
just the sound of the cane,
the sound of the fucking like his like kind of romantic interest calling his name is not enough to wake him up. But the impending sound of Dan's approach wakes him from his slumber. It's fucking incredible.
They're getting a lot of mileage out of that cane.
Oh, they are. This is gonna be like the most beautifully fraught, awful relationship between these two men. I can't wait. They are gonna hate each other and love each other constantly.
In a way that only men can.
In a way, yes.
I was debating not making this joke because it's a little rough, but I do think, to the show's credit, it's managing to have fun with this and be ridiculous with it, but also in a way that isn't like triggering my panic response at my dad throwing me down my staircase as a child. You know, like it's never that rough around the edges. And I do think that's a careful balance you need to hit. So far so good. I give it a thumbs up.
Obviously, I never thought obviously Dan has done many awful things in the context of genocide, but now we have reached a truly dark side of Dan, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Like, it's like, what an unpleasant man.
Yeah. I think there's a degree to which, like, Dan was more of a guy. We said this because Hayata is not a guy, and Dan was a guy. But also there's still like a degree to which Dan spent a lot of 7 being protagonist man. Even though there's obviously like a character to him that maybe I don't know how much we read into that versus like how much is there is subtext is like probably up to debate, but we have our reads.
I think they do a lot of work to make him very silly and dependable, like both simultaneously.
Yeah, I think there's Yeah, I think it also like depends on the episode script, because sometimes he is just like sometimes episodes just write a guy as a guy.
Yeah.
Ultra 7 was kind of where we like OG Ultraman, and then I think it was like the two back-to-back missile episodes of Ultra 7 we were in the pinnacle of, hey, the scriptwriter for last week's episode is an evil fascist. I want you to know that, child.
Like, you know, how much of is like when Kurata says, hey, remember when we blew up that alien race, and Dan like looks at him, how much of that is like actual side-eyeing versus us reading into it? But like, I think, you know, they give us a lot of room and rope to think that work.
True.
But my main point is just like, I think, you know, Dan being the show also means that like the degree to which, you know, you could say like Dan was the the show adds a lot to Dan by having him here.
Yeah.
It's like bringing a character back and giving him like a new angle, a new perspective, helps like, you know,
anchor the original,
make him even more 3-dimensional.
Yeah,
which I think is cool.
Who made this episode?
This episode was written and directed by the same people as the first part of the two-parter. Kiyosumi Fukasawa, and then written by Shigemitsu Taguchi.
Thank you.
I also want to say, like, common thread starting this episode that continues on is, like, all the sports club people think that what Dan is doing is ridiculous.
Yes. They're like, what is he up to?
Yes.
They're like Chalmers looking at the burning kitchen.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what is going? Gen looking the most gaunt that any human being has ever looked. Aurora Borealis.
Can I say, Gen has
like,
an amazing, like, when Gen looks like he's about to cry, his face, like, turns into Play-Doh in a way I find very endearing. He has a very good I'm about to cry face.
I feel it's more Aristotelian, but
man.
But yeah, I'm just like thinking of like him looking all banged up, and then Dan comes and is like, don't worry, I know he's fine, when he's clearly not, and Gen just goes, I have to go.
The part of that, in that moment, I genuinely thought when they're like, he's so cold, and Dan's like, believe me, I understand his condition better than all of you, better than most. And I'm like, oh, because being cold sucks for you.
Yeah.
The secret understanding between them, the community just staring into each other's eyes like, no, you don't get this luxury. You don't get to lie around. You have to save the Earth.
Yeah.
I like the conflict in Dan of like, there is a certain degree of like, you do have to save the world. You know, we'll get into that a little bit more at the beginning of episode 5, but like the thing of like this instinct leading to like truly unfathomable cruelty for some reason is
I just had this would be Galaxy Brain. They are not going to do this, but
okay,
what if this show ends with what was the guy who showed up at the end of Ultra 7 who doesn't fucking matter and never shows up again called?
I don't know.
Just the captain. He's just Dan's captain.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a name.
Dan's captain shows up and is like, well, you made him fight a new monster every week, now he's dying.
Lol.
That'd be funny, but
and Ultra 7's like, fuck, I did it again.
Yeah.
It would have to be Zoffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do kind of just like pretend that guy doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Outside of like maybe some like weird manga shit.
I think that characterization of Dan at the end of Ultra 7 is a good basis for where we are now.
Yeah.
Where he is like,
he went too hard.
Like, where he was just like, I have to do it regardless of if like I'm obviously dying. Like just glancing at me, you can tell I'm dying. So that him applying
this Dan
that
is
like,
not pogging.
This Dan is not pogging. Him applying that sort of Sayaka from Madoka Magica style of like everyone has to has to live in that ideal way. You have to be the most selfless hero that has ever been, or else you're not worthy.
Even though he was yucking up at the barbecue, Tar left for him.
Yeah, true.
I repeat,
right.
This is the superhero shit I could get behind.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if like there's anything because we only talked about Dan in this episode basically. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else.
So
Like,
the thing with this episode is it's also kind of a mess. Like there are like 3 attacks from the kaiju at like different points in the episode, and like it's a mess, but like the drama between the characters is kind of what
this is also where I think it is going to click for most people that the training exercise being done and what it actually means in terms of applicability to the kaiju fight maybe stretched irrelevant. A little bit, but don't worry about it. It's a fun time.
I think it's just a couple things I want to say. There's a cool set piece where they melt a building.
They do that. They do melt the steel beams.
Not with jet fuel though.
No.
Yeah.
That's what actually did 9/11. It was a kaiju.
I thought it was Dr. Pepper.
And then there's
that was the kaiju name. It was sponsored.
And then there's just like we get the sports people being the last ones on the beach searching.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we get Toru insisting late at night. It's like, no, we have to save. I'm not going home. We have to find Gen, and
it's like
everyone
3
else is
a.m.
Dan is the person who needs him most. He's given up, but Toru hasn't.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
I like Toru a lot so far. Actually,
yeah, he's good. It's weird he showed up only in like the past 2 episodes, but like I think for a character who like doesn't show up, maybe that's why they made this like a two parts in a row, because he wasn't there in the first 2 episodes, so maybe they did this 2-part to like better introduce him as like a main character.
Episode 5, I think, is maybe the best episode we've had in term from Ultraman that was made with like, kid, you got a man up in mind.
There might be a reason for that.
Well, yeah.
Let me just get my stuff out of the way.
Yeah, go for it.
For whatever reason, this entire batch, including last week's episode 3, no credits on the special effects director.
Oh, rip.
Damn.
Right.
Again, because they were all real effects.
Yeah.
That really happened.
Well, let me get to that in a minute. Alien Saruk is the kaiju size design is designed by Tetsuo Osawa, a human size design by Yoshio Suzuki, and the human size suit actor is Yoshihisa Origami. I think you'll note that if you look at the alien, the kaiju designs, they actually look pretty different, which I think is interesting. That's the thing I'm noticing this entire, and that's the same with episode 6 too. I think it's interesting.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm just gonna give my bio now on Tatsumi Nikamoto, who's Leo's suit actor. And also played 7 episode 1. There wasn't much of him in his career prior to this, but he moved to Tokyo and entered the entertainment industry in 1971 and became a member of the Japan Action Club. He did some kaiju acting in
Wait, Japan Action Club? You mean Jack?
Yeah.
That name's never come up in Ultraman. Neville Bell?
No. He did some kaiju suit acting in Terror Mechagodzilla, as well as the 1977 The Last Dinosaur, which is a co-production by Super Eye Productions and Rankin Bass and distributed by Toho.
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's the thing that exists.
Damn.
I'm kind of curious about it, just because.
I was not expecting Rankin Bass to show up as in history today.
After Leo, he seems to have gotten involved as an action choreographer in a bunch of detective films starting in the 80s. And then he would go on to also perform this role for future Ultra stuff like the Ultra Q movie, Tiga, Dinah, and Max. He founded the agency Urban Actors in 1989. Nikamoto cites Toru Kawai as the kaiju suit actor who really helped him out the most in like learning the ropes. Apparently there's a fair number of accidents on the set of the show, which we'll probably hear more about in the future. And Nikamoto claims that suit actors were not treated well at Super Eye Productions at this time, it was said that if you could do 1 year at Tsuburaya, you'd last 10 years at another company.
Damn.
Which maybe leads me to the last bit of trivia for this episode specifically.
Mm-hmm.
They filmed the waterfall scene in the wintertime. In a 2024 interview, Ryumatsu said that the water wasn't just freezing, but painful. Even the warming fires between breaks wouldn't actually warm up his core enough. By the time they finished, his legs had gotten numb to the point they couldn't move, and he collapsed in the water. And he jokingly added in an interview, "One thing's for sure, you can't cut through a water ball."
My man
sucks.
was really doing the Dan training.
Yes. We'll go back to that.
What? Oh no!
But yeah, that's my stuff for this episode.
He really hit him with a car.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, they did do. He did leap onto the hood of that driving car. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. He did fall. He did a weirdly intense fall in that quarry.
He was about to
Anyway.
detour his whole career, if not his life.
Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
I think it's good for this week. I think I got all the stuff that I
All
want to say
right.
about this episode.
Sick. So all three of these episodes are the same people. Oh no, that was just the special effects director.
Yeah.
Is,
Yeah, there's
is
no
blank.
one.
Yeah.
It's blank for episode 3 to 6.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
that note about the Tsuburaya productions being fucking brutal for the suit actors
Sounds real.
is making me think back to the action set pieces we have seen in previous shows and going, specifically,
They do just shoot shit at him.
well, like that, but also like anytime OG Ultraman fucking started strangling people with the suit's tail, just like that must not have been like, I'm sure it wasn't at their neck, obviously, but like it still probably sucked. You know? Like,
I mean, Tsuburaya got started on this shit with Godzilla, where that guy couldn't be in that suit for like more than a minute.
yeah,
Otherwise, he fainted.
yeah.
He fell asleep inside the suit, and they had empty out all the sweat in like buckets.
Ugh.
We need to go back to using.
Slosh.
I was about to say we should go back to using real octopi, but I don't know how that octopus is treated. Probably.
No. Yeah.
You can hear more about attempts to use real live animals in the Gamer backstory.
Oh, boy.
When that drops.
Did they throw a bird into the sea for no fucking reason in that one too?
No birds directly involved
Okay.
in that backstory. Some indirectly. Look forward to it.
You know, I'll praise Ultra Q for anything, but they do really just not treat that bird well. That was fucked up.
This
Yeah.
child is going to pick up this horseshoe crab.
Absolutely. When that was revealed, I forgot about the fucking horseshoe crab that
just
wasn't a
talks
prop.
to-
It was just real. It was just a real. Picked it up and I pointed at the screen and went, "You can't do that. No, that's a real one."
Okay, am I misremembering?
Stop it.
That episode was about the horseshoe crab talking to them, right?
It was
Yes.
his dad.
Yes, his horseshoe. Yes, okay. I just wanted to make sure I was remembering that fleeting memory correctly. What a fucking television program.
One of our favorite episodes of Ace.
Yeah, we
Not
were
that
scraping
there's,
the
you know,
barrel.
You know.
There
Only
are-
so
there
few
are
to
like
pick up.
there are 2 bangers I still think about, and the rest is like, oh, you know what, 3 or 4. There's like the Here's Zoffy episode is genuinely like the one where they kill the Yapul, and then the episode afterwards where they have the ghost story with the Yapul. Those are also up there for me.
Yeah.
Somehow Lunatics in Isolation from the context. Also
From
a good
its
episode.
context is actually a really good episode of Ultraman. Yes.
But yeah, let's talk about some other good episodes.
Let's talk about some other good. I want to talk about episode 5 of Ultraman Leo. Which is called "Don't Cry, You're a Man." Featuring the evil sword kaiju Kanedoras. And at first I was like, okay, you can't just go from knife to sword. You gotta throw in a little more variety in here, but we will see the variety. The variety. The variety in this is what they mean by sword.
Next week is gonna go up against Guts.
They mean this kaiju has the
No, that's
fucking
Ultra 7
Ultra 7 eye slugger. The sports center is out on a day trip, but Toru is very clearly extremely fucking sad about the fact his dad got cut in half.
And also everyone else on the bus is a happy family.
Everyone else on the bus is a happy family. That shit sucks, especially seeing other especially seeing other kids happily doing parent-child activities together with their very alive mums and dads. Kaoru tries to get Toru to join in with the fun and games, but it's a struggle. Gen offers to play the role of Toru's dad today, and this seems to cheer Toru up. The two of them, plus Momoko and Kaoru, act out the part of a happy family, and just as Toru and Gen are about to jump rope together, the call from Mac comes in. It's like 3, 2, 1, beep, 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 Mac officer, Gen here. There's a kaiju, and you're needed immediately, Gen. Gen apologizes, and Toru is like, yeah, sure, man, I get it. I see how it is. You're not my dad. You're a Mac officer. Kaoru tries to tell him that, Gen can't just ignore the call. Gen runs off to the fight, and this time we're up against Kanidoras, which has a huge fuck-off sword horn on its head. It looks a bit rhinoceros or Hercules beetle-ish, one of those two. Now, we got a problem here, because this motherfucker has stolen Ultra 7's move. It throws the horn like the Slugger, and it's lethal with it. After fucking up a bunch of Mac vehicles, Kanidoras flies off. At Mac HQ, Dan scolds Gen for being sentimental about Toru. He says, if you had shown up late, you might have created more orphans. The kaiju is resting on the dark side of the moon, but it'll be back. Gen, you need to find the way to beat Kanidoras. It's time to train. Now, the less said...
mind.
This training...
I want one of these. I think this could get me into shape.
It's just 3 things flapping on a machine. It's like Dan had this machine constructed specially for his training.
Dan puts Gen in the device.
It's 3 blades that swing down, and he has to duck and weave and, I guess, punch something. It's not clear what he's trying to hit, in my opinion, if I'm being honest.
No, it is not. And there's a lot of footage of him trying to hit nothing.
It's funny that it is set up specifically at the sports center for some reason.
Yes.
Which becomes
children
important.
in the background!
Gen spends all night on fruitless training in the sports center. My Google Doc auto-corrected to the esports center.
No, they're not. He's not doing plaster work.
No, he's not doing plaster work. Fruitless training in the sports center, and continues on into the day as the kids show up and practice vaulting. Toru's heart isn't in it, and he fails over and over, as Gen also fails over and over. Dan shows up, and Gen is like, hey boss, so I'm thinking this is stupid. If I can't help one child, then isn't me saving the Earth a hollow idea? Dan seems mixed on this. There's a degree to which Dan feels a little bit like it does suck that you can't help Toru, but also Dan gives him a look like that's the stupidest shit I ever heard. Yeah. What do you mean saving everyone on Earth is a hollow idea?
The raw transfer of emotion between these two men is the most, I think, I've felt chemistry between 2 actors in an old Ultraman thing yet. When Dan finally gets what Gen's issue is here, it is magic. I'm forgetting the actor's name, and I feel bad, but he is so good. Dan's actor.
Yeah.
Koji Moritsugu.
Yes.
Moritsugu. Okay.
We got to figure it out. We got to pin it down.
Yeah.
You know what?
We know Go's name, so we know.
We do. Was this okay? But yes, it's the weird competing drive of I get it, but also you can't say saving everyone on the Earth is a hot. I can't have you thinking that.
He's like,
please.
He's like, oh, don't give me excuses.
Dan seems mixed on this idea. The call comes through. Kanidoras is on its way. You have to figure out the point of this training before you join the fight. Otherwise, all you'll have is excuses. The staff evacuate the sports center, but Toru refuses to leave until he's able to vault the thing. I don't know what this is. But it's a thing from
he's
in
being
Japan.
moody, that's the thing.
He is being moody. So Gen and Toru stay behind, training together but alone.
Yeah,
eventually.
I think it's like Gen is like, just get out of here. I'll take care of Toru.
Yeah,
but then Omura comes in later, and he's Omura comes like, well, guys, just fucking leave. Stop being, just be normal, please.
I like that Gen saying, "I'll take care of Toru," means he's going to continue his own training on his own, while Toru also continues on his own training on his own, and neither of them will accomplish anything in the same room. Eventually, Gen kicks a blade off the mystery device, and Omura, the guy in charge of the sports center, catches it, and Gen's like, oh, "That's it, a sword catch." It's at about this point Toru is like, "Damn, I suck. I might as well let the kaiju kill me." And Gen teaches him the way he's been taught. It's slap time. The slap doesn't seem to help much, but what actually stirs Toru to action is Kaoru is in danger. He runs to save her from the kaiju, and they wind up in the middle of a bunch of fire breath guys. And they hide in a car, and then Leo appears and protects them, taking a bunch of hits on their behalf. Toru has a vision or a flashback of his dad, who tells him, "You're not just my son, you're Kaoru's brother. Even if you're sad that I'm gone, you can't forget that." And Toru realizes that this whole episode, Kaoru has been trying her best to look after him, and he has not thought about her and her feelings once, and he apologizes her and tells her she doesn't have to worry anymore. And bro, this shit hits.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
They cheer on Leo, and that gives Leo the will to stand and fight back against Kanidoras. Kanidoras tries the copycat slugger attack, and Leo catches the horn and throws it back, blinding the kaiju. He then cuts Kanidoras in half, and the day is saved. Gen and Kaoru watch Toru practice vaulting, and he injures his leg but keeps going, because if you believe in yourself, you can do anything. Disclaimer, that's not true. The head of the Omura...
Yeah, Dan believed himself in episode 1.
Yeah. Omura, the head of the sports center, laughs at Toru trying to vault with an injured leg, and then realizes what he's doing and apologizes to Dan, and Dan's like, it's alright. Toru successfully vaults over the thing, the end.
I've been Dan in that situation before, I'm not gonna lie.
It's such a... Here's the thing. That's an insane touch to add to the scene, because the scene is about how, the scene is about thing I don't believe in, which is, oh, you can do anything you put your mind to, even if you're like injured. Like you can still get up and try again, shonen. But then they also call attention to the real disability in the room. Which is like, you can't do that and have the believe in yourself thing still be true. Dan can't believe in himself into being Ultra 7 again. That's not... his leg's done.
It's funny how Dan, despite being an Ultra, is immune to Ultraman medical miracles.
Maybe being an Ultra makes you immune to them.
So it's like a Crazy Diamond from Part 4.
Yeah, it's Crazy Diamond from JoJo Part 4.
Maybe in a roundabout way, it's because the antagonist that they set up to be a recurring villain hasn't been dealt with yet.
Oh, that's true. Alien magma needs to be dealt with, and then Ultra 7 will be like, oh wow, I can walk again.
Yeah.
My leg's fine.
Joking aside of relating to Dan in this moment, early on, I actually do think the Toru stuff hit with me. I was a bit older than Toru when I was going through similar things, but holy fuck, did I sure have my bout of being like, oh damn, everyone else is hanging out with their dad. I'm not. Also, I'm latching on to male authority figures in my life who are trying to step in and be like, oh, this guy needs an older man to look up to, but also I am not your dad. No, that shit hit for me. I was like, okay, no, I've been this kid. And just beyond that, I really appreciate Gen as the center pin between two completely unrelated figures, which is Dan, and also Toru, where he needs to figure out his own shit and, I don't want to say suck it up, but that would be the language that the show would use if we're being honest. Like, you know, he needs to figure out his shit and stop crying and solve the issue, but also needs to figure out a way to also be there for Toru and make sure he's getting the support he needs. But on top of that, he's struggling with his own shit. He's in no place to really be that person to Toru. But, you know, that's kind of fallen on him as well. And it just sucks that he has to deal with it. And I love everything about this weird kind of 3 generations of bullshit pain cycle that's going around in the show now, as established in this episode.
I think one of the things, there's like many things, several things about this episode that I want to talk. One of them is the slap, when Gen slaps Toru, and it doesn't do anything. It just makes Toru, this does not fix Toru in any way. And the Gen's depiction of his relationship with all the kids in episode 1, of this magical miracle man who is like the nicest guy ever, who is just like friends with friend of every child, like is now turning into man who will strike a kid to be like, we gotta make a man out of you.
No frolicking in the flowers.
No more frolicking in the flowers. That's not manly enough. Like dad, like, and he has learnt this straight from Dan. I think that's like, you know, once again, I don't know that this show is like with me on this, but like, intentional or not, this episode like completely supports the idea that this is just an awful thing to be happening to Gen, as his as, you know, who he is changing, and what he's, how he thinks it's the proper way to discipline a child, or not even discipline, the proper way to help a child, to support a child through grief.
Yeah.
And then tied to that, like, Dan's the training machine doesn't help. He kicks the thing off, and Omura does a sword catch and passes on the knowledge from his past martial arts training on to Gen, and that's what Gen uses to beat the kaiju.
Yeah, because it's basically like he catches it and he's like, damn, you could do that? He's like, yeah, I used to do kendo. No shit.
Yeah.
It's basically how the conversation goes.
Yeah. And then in the car, the thing that, you know, the way that the thing that helps Toru reach an understanding is his dad talks to him. His dad, who is the goofiest guy who has ever lived. He's Toru's dad is not like a stoic manly man, but that's what helps. And then the thing that this episode is about is not, you know, it is an episode about you gotta man up, kid, but the conclusion that it comes to is not you gotta man up, kid. It's like your sister is like experiencing the same grief as you and is trying to help you and is like prioritizing your feelings, and you haven't thought about her for a second. I think
it's...
Yeah.
Taro did a twist on this that I don't think we did this successfully, probably because it's important to the show, but it was like when Kenichi was making a fuss about having to write about his dead mom, and
yes.
Yeah,
it was making Saori uncomfortable. And we're seeing kind of like a inverse of that, because like obviously like one Kaoru and Toru are closer in age, and also Toru was the older one, but it's a kind of a similar kind of thing.
And I just think like that is not a lesson that Gen or Dan would try to teach Toru, as you know, as they currently are. But like that being Toru's realization of like, man, my sister is experiencing this as well, but she's trying to look after me, and I have just kind of like decided that it's all me. Like I can't, and obviously, this is not easy. You can't just go like, oh yeah, I'm just, I have to look after my sister, therefore I'm not going to be miserable about the fact that I watched my dad get cut in half by an alien. But I just think this is a weirdly miraculous perspective for this era of Ultraman to reach.
Oh, 100%. And I love that he mostly gets there on his own. It helps a lot.
I thought that stuff was really like those three things like combined into my favorite episode this batch.
Oh, same. I also do want to highlight, now that we got through the serious stuff, I do want to highlight Leo being on the ground, and then scenes of him taking hits to the back and him just going, ooh, ooh.
Yeah. This show is just punctuated by so many stupid looking silly things, as is traditional in Ultraman.
It's so good.
The training machine is the epitome of that to me.
Yes.
This episode.
Oh, the vibes are immaculate.
I liked Omar was like, oh shit, Leo did the kendo catch, and then Leo kills the kaiju and he just faints.
Yeah, Omura, another silly guy, another funny little goofy guy.
Yeah, he grabbed the fish in episode 1.
He grabbed the fish, episode 1.
Hey, you want to know who?
I'm a big fan of this episode. Yeah.
Want to know who is behind this episode?
Yeah, go for it.
So returning writer here, Bumpei Ai, but then also, after being sent off to the Mirror Man mines for directorial criticism, the episode director is Shohei Tojo, who is back after last directing the Marucci episode.
Holy shit, that's a fucking stretch. That's been a while, dude.
Yeah.
Because we got him back, and especially as special effects director in Taro.
Oh,
but now he's an actual
yeah. Now he's back for real.
Yeah,
nice
they finally let him back in the director chair after everyone complained about the Marucci shit.
I can't, but no one should ever trust an audience with anything ever.
No. Well,
when I found out,
mad? I can't remember for the Marucci thing. Mel, do you remember?
I think it was like producers getting mad.
Okay, I mean that makes sense.
But probably was also parents though.
When I found out Brandon Sanderson is like a respond to audience criticism guy, I was like, get this. Everything makes sense. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm a voice.
Yeah. Who's doing the other stuff? Mel.
Yeah. So first, I was told by my friend Triblast on Blue Sky that a device similar to this may have also been from Star of the Giants, which is even funnier.
Nice.
Anyway,
Star of the Giants is baseball, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I had that right.
Ken Doris is designed by Tetsuo Osawa, who will now I'll give the bio to. He was born in Beijing in 1946, but then moved to Osaka because the war was ending. He was like 2 months old, basically. Joined Subaraya Productions in 1967 and studied under Toru Narita and Noriyoshi Ikea. Worked as art assistant on Seven, Operation Misty, Return, Mirror Man, before moving on to Kaiju Dynamo Leo. He was also an art assistant on Jisoji's Mujo and Mandala from his erotic Buddhist trilogy.
I need to watch movies 2 and 3 yet. I keep forgetting.
After 75, he went freelance, but was later recruited by Nobuo Ujima for a special effects studio. He would later work on Gunhead and Tokyo: The Last Megalopolis.
Both movies I want to watch.
Yeah. For the late 80s into the 90s, Osawa would go on to do special effects work for Heisei Godzilla series, starting with Versus Biollante onwards, and will play a leading role in the effects for Rebirth of the Mothra trilogy. His sense of style seems to be described as quote-unquote efficient, such as omitting miniatures from areas of the set that are not captured by the camera angles. Koichi Kawahita said that besides this, he also has a good sense of perspective and distance when filming. Some have attributed Osawa's styled ability for the Heisei Godzilla movies to be made at all, given their ambition, because often the budgets of the movies were not actually planned out well beyond the film's initial meetings. So Osawa has described the main difference between miniatures and CG as being whether they can break in interesting ways. Because in his view,
nice.
Miniatures, physics happen and you can't really predict it, whereas with the CG, like, it all comes down to what's in the artist's head. In the mid-aughts, he worked on Toho's Chosation series, which is a trilogy of TV shows where Toho tried to tap into the TV toku hero market because it's a bit of going a renaissance at the time. So it's going head-to-head with, like, mid-aughts Rider and Sentai.
No, something you don't want to be doing.
It did. I think I may have seen that maybe it was an era where, like, it obviously only lasted for 3 seasons, but it did seem to be, like, at least enough of a blip on the radar that maybe Toei had to go, hold on a second. we gotta at least pay attention to it. But I don't think it's because it's not a series I've touched it, even though I want to. He passed away at 63 in 2010, with his final work they contribute to being the second Ultraman Zero movie, which was released posthumously.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah, RIP.
So I guess in some way his spirit will continue for a few years for us in terms of coverage.
Speaking of the special effects, bro, I heard about that oil crisis. You can't be shooting with that fire, bro.
I was thinking of that.
I keep thinking, like, damn, these effects are too good. What are you doing?
I was like, damn. The modern equivalent of this would be if, like, Ultraman Arc started throwing, like, copious amounts of eggs at the kaiju.
Well, it's fucking stupid. It is very funny. The episode 1, we get the whole spiel about, like, they've really had to cut back on special effects. Watching these opening few episodes, guys, I'm pretty sure I just heard that you have to be cutting back on these special effects. When are you gonna do that? Are you gonna do that now? You should maybe do that now.
Imagine the 20s are just like fucking episode 25 and 26 of Evangelion here before Toku.
They're playing with Ultraman figures.
There's enough flamethrower effects going on that you could, like, probably put Fortunate Son behind this and it would fit.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but, like, Brad, this is unrelated, but Brad mentioning, like, the arc attacking with eggs thing, it woke in a memory of me where, like, I don't know why I remember this specifically, but, like, years ago, I think I accidentally clicked on a YouTube video that was, like, some guy who was making his pitch for, like, if Gaston from Beauty and the Beast was in Smash Bros.
Okay.
And one of his moves was, like, called 4 dozen eggs, where he juggled a bunch of eggs. I'm like, this is inspired.
Smash people are different.
They are different.
You know, we haven't had a mysterious egg/stone in a minute, I feel.
You'll know I didn't say built different. That comes across too flattering. Smash players are just different.
There's a mysterious egg in the second Gamera movie.
They smell different.
Yeah, excellent.
Too.
They do smell
excellent.
Different. Was there anything in this episode that we wanted to get to? We mostly just talked about story stuff.
I think this is my favorite one so far. I really like this.
He fucking blinds the kaiju, Jesus Christ.
He does.
So much of this show feels like a happy accident, but then is also further lifted by just, like, genuine talent by everyone involved. Like, from the production to the actual cast and their acting chops, and it's the show has been great. I do think that there's a possibility that, like, one, the training stuff stops being as ridiculous and eventually just becomes rote to the point where it's like, okay, we have to do this every single time, and I hope we don't ever start to feel that way. And then the other thing is just, I feel like there's a very real possibility we are inevitably going to get to a Dan is just being a piece of shit this episode, and like it's actually just kind of bad taste in the mouth.
I feel like we've already hit that point. He is just being like terrible.
Well,
like
he is.
I just think that there's
The
something
absurdity
to that.
offsets
That's it's the absurdity of it's not. It's not that I genuinely watching episode 6. I'm just like, I don't know that I can necessarily go around saying that I love Moroboshi Dan anymore, but I do like this. I do find it interesting that this is what he does when he's in this state. So, you know.
Yeah.
I wonder how this like view of Dan will persist throughout the franchise.
Oh, I'm so
presumably
curious.
not. Like I assume they just kind of go, ooh, next time Dan shows up,
He's back to Ultra 7 coded.
Yeah.
He's not trying to run people over for no good reason.
I just realized why he's back behind the wheel. He's having so much fun. He's driving.
He's behind the wheel and he goes, I got a dark
I keep thinking
with me."
of new shit posts to make about this show.
That's the sign of a good show. That's the sign of a good show.
Cross Data DM'd me yesterday and was like, Leo's been leading to a new age of Ultraman posting from y'all.
Of course it has.
100%.
Of course it has. There's meat here, and the meat is Dan is beating up his protege constantly.
Hell yeah.
Moroboshi Dan, no longer my friend, but I do find him fascinating. Do we want to move on to episode 6?
I think so.
Okay, episode 6 is called You're a Man, Burn On, or like something else.
Get fired up.
Alright. Featuring the Alien of Darkness, Kali Seijin, or Kali Alien Kali. Mac Officer Shirato is visiting from the space station. Now, what does this mean? What does that mean? We'll get to it. Shirato lets Gen drive his girlfriend home, but on the way, they are attacked by an alien, Kali. Gen beats up the human-sized Kali, and then it turns big and straight up squishes Yoko underfoot. Grim. Shirato beats up Gen for failing to protect his girlfriend and lambasts Ultraman Leo for being a useless Ultraman. And Dan is mostly like, you know, what right do you have to be sad, Gen? Wasn't your girlfriend that you failed to protect?
The way he phrases this is so ridiculous.
This shit is crazy. If it truly the thing that is like keeping this from being who is this? This is not Dan. Is like Koji's like his little asides, his little where he's just like he's like visibly reaching for this hard man persona. Shirato transfers to join the patrol team and works on his shooting. Gen sees this, understands Shirato's intent, and starts doing some more training. This time on his own, without Dan's input. This training is already a little bit ridiculous, but well, you know. On patrol late at night, Shirato saves a woman from Kali, and based on this result, he has a plan. MAC officers will patrol alone, but with the knowledge of Kali's weak spot, which is its face. I'm gonna be honest, fellas, I could have told you that.
Maybe if we headshot it.
Maybe. Gen tells Dan this is a crazy dangerous plan, and Dan's MO these days seems to be saying one reasonable thing and then saying one truly outrageous thing. Reasonable? Again, it's Mac's job to risk our lives to protect the people of Earth from alien attacks. Perfectly reasonable. Outrageous? Again, this is all your fault because you suck at being Ultraman Leo. After a couple of MAC officers get injured by Kali, Dan finds Gen training alone and beats the shit out of him with his crutch, and then he says, okay, so maybe Shirato's power alone can't stop Kali. Come with me, Gen, it's time for some real training. Then Dan hits him with a car. This is the training. Gen, dressed in his gi, and Dan at the wheel of a Jeep trying to run him down, and all the while yelling, "Stop running!"
And
internally,
yeah. going. You have to
Again.
jump at the car.
you have to understand the purpose of the training is to jump over the car.
You
You
I
can't
like
just
how-
say this.
I don't know
I like
how you
how,
can say
like-
you can't love Dan. This is.
I love him, but now there's distance in the love where I'm like, I love this ridiculous, awful man. Mel, you were saying?
I like how like Gen is doing some like, I guess like stereotypical training with like the logs, except like spikeified, which makes the others go, "This is crazy," and then Dan goes, "This isn't real training." Getting from the car.
You motherfuckers think this is crazy? You don't know crazy. I'm crazy.
Again, I would like to highlight Gen's amazing expressions as the car's coming at him, and you can see like moments of like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and then the car gets closer. It's like, fuck this, and he just dives out of the way. Oh, it's so good.
And then Gen jumps over the car a couple of times, and then he falls down like a cliff face. Well done, Gen.
Does
Kali
he
attacks.
jump over as much as he just kind of tumbles over the hood?
He does jump over once.
He jumps over.
Okay.
He does it. Kali attacks. Shirato almost gets killed, and Ultraman Leo appears to save the day. Leo pulls off a jump, so Kali's shoulder horns get stuck in a building after it charges, and then Leo
This is cool.
fucking murders Kali. Rip Kali. Back at base, which is station. It is a station in space.
Yeah.
Shirato tells Gen, "I'm returning to the space station." What are you talking about, Shirato?
Oh, I forgot about this.
Is he
Shirato.
stupid?
Is-
This is a different one.
there's a difference, but this is not the space station. He's like, I couldn't have done it without Leo. And hey, maybe you'll get your act together soon too, eh, Gen? Gen is about to go after him when Dan puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "Well done, Gen. We're the only two aliens on this planet. Let's protect it as long as we live." Back at the sports center, Gen is teaching the kids martial arts, and Omura gets Kaoru to punch him as hard as she can, and he keels over afterwards, pretending he's really badly hurt because he's a funny guy. The end. Omura existing as like a guy who teaches people things but is like normal about it, I think is interesting.
Yeah.
In this show. I think that's an interesting thing to put in the mix here.
Yeah.
He's just a nice dude.
He's just a nice dude.
I do like
yeah.
the point that you made last episode. I think it's Brad that like, no, it was one of you two. I forget. I think it may have been Brad actually. It was like having the actual characters be like the sports club people, while the Mac guys are mostly just nobodies, is like a better choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we've been getting a lot of the sports club people as like.
It seems to be that the named Mac people that are showing up that aren't like the support crew that they have are like one-off episode people, which
They're
I'm
expendable.
like, this is great. This is fantastic.
And we were right. It makes like the show feel bigger. It makes the team feel bigger by having it like be a bunch of guys we like rarely see.
Mm-hmm.
It makes the team feel bigger. It also means Dan can order people to go to their death and then feel sad about it afterwards.
Yes.
Which is that's that burden of leadership shit that I want to see in this show.
See, my ideal version of this is they each get to stick around for 4 to 6 episodes and then they bite it.
That might,
Nice.
we might get like some of that because like there's names dropped in this episode who are like the ones from episode 1. It's just like they're not guys.
Okay.
Like we saw their face.
I wasn't sure if we had seen
The,
them before.
I think this is, you know, once again getting into Dan is like the most weird, interesting part of this show because half of this wasn't intentional. Maybe is like him being like him having that him being like a mix of perfectly reasonable things and also this outrageous hardcore coach persona. When Gen's like, this is a really stupid, dangerous plan, and Dan's response is, okay, right, again, I do need you to understand, this is Mac. It is literally our job to put our lives on the line to save people from the alien. We do have to do that. We can't not do that. I think is just that's that shit that I like.
Yeah,
and then the other shit that we like is the fucking ridiculous training this episode. This was where I was like, okay, we did not take the question from last week seriously.
Yeah, just to confirm, like the ones who get taken out by Carly, it doesn't seem like killed, but just like taken out,
injured,
or like injured Kuroda, Aoshima, and Momoe, who are all like the people Gan met in episode 1.
Okay.
So like they like recurring, but also maybe not. I guess they could be off for all we know. The way the show's going.
You know what else I like this episode? Actual peril.
What?
That lady just dies.
Yeah.
That lady gets
it's all his fault.
It's that's not.
It's a wild shot. They're just driving, and you just see the alien running behind them.
It is really funny. It is like,
it's like the inverse of the training.
Hey guys, I'm here.
It's like the inverse of the training.
I'm so happy.
It is.
Like 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'm a little bit bummed that Taro didn't maybe take as big of swings as I wanted to, and this I'm just like, you're maybe swinging too hard.
We didn't think it was possible.
In fact, you're swinging at me with a cane, and that hurts.
Yeah,
that's hard.
Ow.
Please. I need to talk about one of my favorite shots in this episode.
Okay.
Which is, I don't think he said it in summary, but like there's in the first fight with Carly, Leo gets like yeeted and like thrown, and immediately cuts to like Gen being thrown like seamlessly, and it's really cool.
Oh yeah. It's good. This show goes hard at all times. Presumably at some point it will be materially unable to go hard. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, we are 6 out of 51 episodes, so we'll see.
I do like Shirato's ridiculous dual wielding gun shenanigans.
Yeah, he's got his own training regimen.
Yeah, he's like doing flips and shit.
I'm doing flips.
Yeah,
I'm doing. What does this have any purpose? What kind of training is this? What are you doing?
Bro played way too much Devil May Cry before signing up for the military.
He's on like that Dirty Harry shit where he's like,
he really is.
I am signing up. I'm signing up specifically to kill more aliens and going on patrol without permission to kill aliens. In a way that just sounds like, oh, this is what white supremacists do.
I do like when Gen walks in on him at the firing range. That first, I was like, what the fuck is he doing here? Why did you sign up for this?
Yeah, I do feel bad that like my first thought when thinking like, he went on patrol without permission. The first thing I thought of was like that one Liam Neeson anecdote where he wanted to go to a hate crime.
I
also was thinking about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, so
Liam, you do not gotta say that. Liam, first of all, you do not gotta do that. But second of all, Liam?
He just dropped that out of nowhere.
Liam,
he's like,
what are you doing?
I'm going to say this so to convey that we can all grow past racism, and this will not reflect totally on Liam in any capacity.
I never had to grow past that.
Yeah,
that specific thing you just mentioned, I never had to grow past that. I'm okay.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm glad I wasn't the only one who was reminded about that, because I did think about it watching the episode, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna bring that up because it's kind of out there, but I'm happy I'm not alone.
That's so specific. I can't believe that I'm the only person who didn't think of that specific
I mean,
thing.
I'm gonna be honest, every time I see Qui-Gon Jinn, I think about that anecdote. I'm not gonna lie.
Every time I see Qui-Gon Jinn, I think of I didn't come here to free slaves.
Well, now I know why Liam Neeson is in that role.
Now we know. Now we know.
What a fucking legacy to leave.
Quite. The Phantom Menace is so goated. Anyway.
As we discussed on this podcast.
As discussed in this podcast.
Yeah.
What a great movie. Luke and George was cooking. Anyway. This episode of Ultraman. I had a good time. This episode is like a little more unified in its like a little more focused than episode 4 maybe, but it's sort of similar. Like episode 4 had like more like standout shit for me. I mean, obviously they're trying to hit Gen with the car is I'm never gonna forget that for the rest of my days.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I have to assume this is just one of the most iconic parts of this show.
What, him training Gen? Yes.
No, specifically
the car. Specifically the car. Hopefully, if it's not, that means we're just in for some more crazy shit.
Yeah.
I saw it. Here's the thing. I was watching Leo. I was watching episode 5 and I was like, okay, I'm done watching Leo for tonight. And then I watched the next time on and I saw him trying to run down Gen in the car and I was like, I'm watching another episode of Ultraman Leo.
Yeah.
Just imagining fucking Dan painting like a Wile E. Coyote like tunnel or Roadrunner fucking fake tunnel or whatever, and being like, all right, Gen, I need you to run through the tunnel. Run through the tunnel. He just keeps hitting the wall.
I don't understand.
Or
you're a shit Ultraman.
The post I made yesterday on the account.
The Dick Smasher.
Yeah, Mickey's Dick Smasher.
Oh, yeah.
Mickey's Dick Smasher. Captain, my dick, it's been smashed. Do you not understand the purpose of this training, Gen?
You're called Ultraman, okay. Not Ultra Eunuch.
Dan just thinks of himself. He says, "Oh, listen, you don't know how lucky you have it. I have erectile dysfunction."
Turning into Ultraman. If you can't turn into Ultraman for the Ultras, that's erectile dysfunction. Yeah.
Dan, looking at Leo, so you're telling me you can only last 2 minutes 40 seconds, huh?
Dan is the one without the color timer.
Oh, you can just go.
Toho leaning in with interest.
Yeah. Anyway.
One more. Dad being like, no, listen, we all get crucified at some point. I'm just gonna put these stakes through your hands.
You gotta understand. You gotta be prepared for it.
Oh yeah.
God, I can't wait for.
Did Taro get crucified? Actually.
Taro did not get crucified. Brad, I would like to reveal to you that Mel has made a soundbite of Jesus Time from Johnny Mnemonic and just played it.
I did the math, and there's been 3 crucifixions so far.
Okay. 3 crucifixions.
The Holy Trinity, one would call them.
Yeah.
That's not going to last.
No, only one of those got crucified.
That is the lore. No, wait, hold on.
Well, but 4. They're also like the same.
So was this script written by someone who wasn't aware that the HQ was a space station?
It could have been.
It could have been.
I think you're right, and this is fuck, what was the one with the underwater base that they never did that with?
Matt.
Was that 7 or yeah, it was Return.
Yeah, it was Return, yeah.
I think they just forgot immediately.
Like, they made a space station, and I'm like, cool, I love a space station. And then they were just like, we have just realized it's really inconvenient for this to be a space station because our hero has to spend loads of time at the Jonan Sports Center. So we're gonna immediately forget that this is a space station.
Imagine
right
your
now.
commute being go to space and back every fucking day. That would suck.
That's how it fucking feels sometimes, man. That's what commuting is like.
Yeah.
That's what it's really like. Oh, I gotta catch a fucking space station to the fucking. I gotta catch a spaceship to the fucking station.
Let's hope
Christ.
Amstar doesn't show up.
maybe they dropped the space station idea because it took too much oil to get it up there every time they needed the film.
True. They were filming a real space station.
Yep.
And meanwhile, the guys at NASA were like, "You actually put them up there?"
It's like, have you ever seen a show called Thunderbirds, dipshit?
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's extreme. I'm right.
I should have said UFO or Stingray. I think those are the space ones.
Thunderbird has a space one.
Okay.
I specifically said I would need you to Google Thunderbird 5 right now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Also asked on Blue Sky about the flowers.
Oh yeah, that's the space station.
And one of my
that's
mutuals,
just the space station from Ultraman.
one of my mutuals said at Anki Durga has told me the yellow flowers in episode 5 at the end are just like coming in spring rapeseed flowers. Is the
yeah, that episode's like all. Oh no, it's the episode 4 is the one with like Sakura Blossom, right?
Yeah, but also
As well. Yeah,
just because like that episode ends with like them doing the pole vault, the vault training in like the field of the flowers. The white flower that Dan is holding in episode 4, maybe an orchid, is kind of fucked up, but he says usually convey love or affection, and a white flower typically goes one of two ways: they represent innocence and purity, and find their way to bridal bouquets, or they get associated with funerals. And then the one in episode 6 in like it's like the final scene with like what's his face gun guy before he leaves and like
okay the pink flower.
Yeah, the pink flower. It's apparently Catala orchid, which can indicate beauty, strength, and resilience, and be able to thrive in a tough environment.
I see.
So I think they may be cooking. They may be cooking a little bit.
They're cooking a little bit.
So that's cool.
Who made this episode?
This was once again written and directed. Oh wait, no. Well, okay, just director is the same as last time. Shohei Tojo, and then written by Shigemitsu Taguchi.
All right, cool. Mel.
Yeah. First thing I say, this character had a wicked page. So Jun Shiroto is played by Masaharu Matsuaka. And he played an invader in one episode of Mirror Man. He played the weird, creepy guy in the Verkro episode of Ultraman Ace. If you remember that one.
Which episode?
Which episode?
The one where a lady comes to like Captain Ryu's house, and he's like, "No, I don't need a maid," and then she ends up finding a different guy.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
Yes. With Captain Ryu, the legend, the true hero of Ace. that woman shows up. He's like, no. What the fuck you? No, I don't need it's a tiny apartment. I don't need a maid. What do you?
Yeah.
Love that man.
And then finally, he played Tatsuo, who was Kotaro's friend in episode 42 of Taro, which is the one with the android wife.
Oh, sick! Sick episode of Taro.
Yeah.
Alien Carly is made by Tetsuo Osawa. And so finally, as some trivia about this, the making of this episode, the Jeep used was secondhand and with faulty brakes. So the Valkyrie hitting Ryomatsu a bunch during the filming.
Oh my fucking god.
Prior to filming, Menetsu protested to Shohei Tojo, hey, this seems dangerous and someone could get really hurt. And Tojo was like, okay, anyway, let's start shooting.
Oh my god!
Jesus
and
Christ.
Tojo later complimented Menetsu on his performance during the scene, saying, oh man, you really feel the intensity of your expressions really came through in your performance. And Menetsu was like, oh, well, actually, those were just my actual genuine feelings.
Of course it was. Of course it was. Oh my god. This. Stop trying to kill that man.
I feel like every other episode I'm finding out trivia of like, this episode killed either Gen's actor or Leo's suit actor. And I'm like,
what if there was like, this all might be part of an elaborate like organized crime, like there was a hit out on this guy.
I can't believe Gen is actually going through the Dan training, like in real life. Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's method acting, except enforced.
Enforced method.
Like the fucking Stanley Kubrick and The Shining tier bullshit.
Right.
Except, with an oncoming vehicle.
It's ridiculous. Okay. Well, what have we missed from this episode? We've been kind of light on this one. What's going on here? I think this kaiju's like human form, like menacing and like goring all the like members of MAC is like kind of fun. I like
the tight like the way the camera is when you're going down the corridors.
Yes, I was about to say. I think there's a few good Dutch angle shots in that sequence too. The cat and mouse game that it plays with the Mac team, where it's just like offing them like a slasher villain almost. It's good. Honestly, we were joking about the Predator a few weeks back, but this does kind of feel like this is adjacent to it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it has that energy of just like, oh, you're fucked. You can't deal with this thing.
I didn't make a note of this part. I don't think it actually it led to anything, but there's a part where like after all the Mac guys get owned, Shiroto says, oh, if only I was there, and Dan just sideside him for a bit, and the camera draws attention to it, but I also don't know if like what the point was necessarily.
Dan, there's a bit in kind of in this episode where Dan is like, Shirato has like a decent plan. Kind of like we have to go through with this, and then like Gen's being like, this is really a bunch of people are gonna get hurt. I fought this kaiju, like it was difficult, it was not easy, and Dan being like really dismissive of this and being like, you just suck at being Leo, and then it turning out, actually it is a threat, and then like he rocks it.
Like there's a difference between like understanding that there is a danger in all operations versus understanding when an operation is just reckless and dangerous.
And then, in this version of Dan's style, this anger about the situation, about his helplessness in the situation, he takes it all out on Gen. It's possible he like sort of thinks of Gen as like an acceptable outlet for this, because it's like, well, he's Ultraman, he can take it.
Yeah.
And this is like extreme. This is like the extreme behavior of like a very of a man in not a good headspace. And but we've talked about this a lot this episode.
We're getting so much juice out of this show.
We're getting so much juice out of this show. This show's good.
I'm a big fan.
Is there anything else about episode 6 we want to talk about, or have we kind of exhausted the episodes this week?
I guess I'm just like thinking like Shao's a weird guy. Like he's like Gen's best bud until like his girlfriend dies, and then like But at the end of the episode, he seems to get over it, but he's like amicable and friendly, but being a shit about it, and it's hard to tell like what
he's got
the
like
dynamic is there.
He's got like his energy is Yoko could have been anyone. Like, he truly does not care about his girlfriend. He cares about the fact that his girlfriend was killed. That my girlfriend was killed. And then by the end of the episode, it's like, yeah, we dealt with it. The shame has been wiped from my life, and now I can.
But he
go
still
on.
like gets in like digs at Gen, and so it's like the relationship hasn't like been mended. And I guess maybe it can't be, or like not right away.
Yeah, it's not a clean break.
Yeah,
but I think it's interesting.
Gen about to go after him, and Dan stops him like, nah, you would have to tell him you're Ultraman for him to get it. You can't do that.
Yeah, like Taro to Kenichi.
Like Taro to Kenichi. Don't you know? Yes, I know you're frustrated that I failed to save your girlfriend when I was Gen, but did you know I also failed to save your girlfriend when I was Ultraman Leo? Wow. You know what? That really changes things for me.
Yeah, it is funny just how every episode ends with like, now the day is saved, and Dan's like, "You're my best bro again."
You're my best bro.
Much.
It's so toxic. It's so
you make
awful.
me so proud. It's like
beats you up, and then it beats you up, and then at the end of it, it's just like, oh, I'm so proud of you.
Is this an abusive relationship?
It's an abuse. It's absolutely an abusive relationship.
Is there a codependency there, and that like Dan feels he needs Gen, despite the hierarchy?
I mean, where would all that tension go if he couldn't beat Gen up?
He's like, he needs Gen for hope, even though he's like constantly disappointed.
Yeah. Well, on this incredibly dark note, we might be done talking about this week.
It's so funny that this follows the Goo Goo Gaga show.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Kotaro's just going to shout at the Colossus, pole vaulting on the kaiju.
Kotaro is just living his best life wandering Japan right now.
He'd probably just handle the training too.
He'd handle the. Gen would feel so bad about how much Kotaro could just handle the training, despite no. And you know what? It wouldn't help because he can't turn into Ultraman anymore. And Dan would be like, "I don't. This doesn't help." All right. Now that we're done talking about the episodes this week, Mel, timers.
Yeah. Episode 4, 1 minute 37 seconds. Episode 5, 3 minutes 57 seconds. Episode 6, 1 minute 7 seconds, then 2 minutes 1 second.
Oh wow!
So
episode 6, they managed it.
Yeah. Not episode 5 though.
No, absolutely not. All right. Do we have any emails?
Yeah, once again we have 4 emails.
What the fuck? Okay.
People coming out the woodwork for the bangers.
You know what? To be expected, a lot of people were like, Ultraman Leo's like the only one of this era that I like, or some shit.
Like,
I was like, okay.
Or like, somehow we seem to be drawing the Leo sickos. And we may be the podcast that becomes the Leo Sickos podcast.
Yeah, here's the thing. The reason we're attracting the Leo Sickos is because it's probably just clear from our vibe that we were going to be Leo Sickos.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
It would be fun if we just got the reputation as being the Leo guys. There's the way that like GGP is like the victory guys.
I will take this burden.
But we'll see. We still have a lot of shows left.
And I will pass it on to my protege by beating him up every week.
Anyway, this first one's by Tep. Welcome back.
Hello.
Subject line: run towards the car in all caps. Welcome to the Ultraman. That's a Muv-Love thing, not a real life thing. Welcome to the Ultraman Elitist Club. Smiley face.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You know what? Yes, absolutely.
I forgot we had that conversation.
2 comments from last time. 1, I can't wait for you to find out just how right you are about Dan's divorced energy. Also, Coach Ota from Gunbuster is absolutely a Leo reference. All that setting sun imagery, that's all Leo. And while it's true it's risked Manasu's life, the Jeep scene is iconic. Another one of Leo's cultural legacy, so it's impossible to say whether it's bad or not.
whatever it is, it exists, and we're here to watch it.
This is a art. She sent me some art in tab. Some of it's like, so there's some Future Ultra here, but like more importantly is this seems to be from a collab. I'm not sure if it's just like a fan art or official thing. But no, there's a couple of Future Ultras we don't know yet here, and then Leo is the one to draw your attention to. Put it in the chat.
Go to open this.
I have to put this in the description properly.
This is this is hilarious.
This is pretty good.
Okay. Okay, so the Jeep is iconic. We have immediately learned the Jeep is iconic. Thank God.
Even better. Hold on, let me get the other thing. I have to get a Tumblr post from a scene from an anime that maybe said.
Okay, was there a lot? Okay,
I'm not sure which.
Hell yeah!
I need a name for It says
what show this
Fruits? Is? Yeah.
No idea.
Action Heroine Cheer Fruits is the name
Okay.
of the anime. So
This is a parody of the Jeep scene.
Yeah.
That we're looking at.
Anyway, I just love the scene in episode 5 where Toru stays behind and you just hear Kara screaming for him to come with her. She's afraid of losing him. It's so good. Also love Canadoris' fucking ice lugger way to flex on Dan.
My initial summary of episode 5 was lacking in Kaoru, and it was like by like rechecking the episode to like get my summary right was where I was kind of like, she's like the most important part of this episode. It's really good. I was kind of shocked at what reads that episode supported. Given the rest of this show.
Yeah. Anyway, my confession is that I want to marry Dan Moroboshi in this show and for him to be my emotionally unavailable, always working husband. Anyway, do you think he'd be a better or worse husband and father than Ibuki / the other captains we've met so far?
Okay.
Ooh.
Now, we have Ibuki and Gento as contenders.
Ibuki is truly nothing. Like Ibuki's a guy. He's truly would just rather be working.
Yeah.
Who was the? Was it Gento? Was
Yes.
the other guy?
The guy on him.
Oh man. Gento's
Dad,
so
I'm scared.
perfect.
Shut up.
Shut up, son.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. Why doesn't he know? What was going through the writer's mind? The thing is, I'm also Moroboshi Dan pilled in this way. We kind of know this about. I like Moroboshi Dan a lot. This is like.
I remember your summary for the Ultra 7 finale.
Listen. He's all right. This age of Moroboshi Dan is like where he's like. It's maybe a little much for me. But
You don't think he could be fixed?
well, no. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is the struggle. He's awful. He's awful. And then also you get the sense that he is so awful because he's a pathetic, fragile, broken man, and it's like, oh wow. What if I just I don't know. There's still a lot of show left. It is like I described. There is a high wire act here of like, could Moroboshi Dan just be a guy I don't like at the end of the show? It's possible. It's maybe even probable.
Possible.
We'll see.
I'm having a great time so far. I love the unhinged Dan energy.
Yes. And then they'll course correct by making him just like pretending this didn't happen when he returns again. It'll be like,
Anyway.
there is Dan, the joyful noble
this
hero
will
of 7, and then they'll have Leo show up next to him and say, you were a bit of a strict teacher, but you always did appreciate your helpfulness. And they'll.
What was the question again?
Do you think it's about who would be a better or worse husband and father than Ibuki and the other captains? Would you be a worse husband or father than Ibuki and the other captains?
I mean, as you know, we have yet to see Ibuki or Gento get violent when they're sad. So I bet Moroboshi Dan is a worse husband. But also, you know, Moroboshi Dan's better than Moroboshi Dan is I prefer Moroboshi Dan to both of those guys. This is just how it is.
It's a tight
I think if you're like willing to accept that you're always gonna be like second banana, like Gento's fine. You'll just never be the priority or worth telling the truth to.
Or worth telling the truth. You're a trophy to him. You're an achievement.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I got married. Yeah, I had a kid. I've got a house. I've got a home and a family.
Well, he's checklist guy.
Yeah, I've got I'm getting the Steam achievements.
Meet potential dad.
Meet potential dad.
Potentially a very great father figure.
Man. There was more to this email, was there?
No, that was just the end of it.
Okay.
They say, can't wait for next time, heart emoji, and then a screenshot of a thread from the Ultraman subreddit that says, Captain Dan Moroboshi did nothing wrong.
He did do things wrong, and that's why we're getting juice out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just like last week. The reason Miles Edgeworth is good is because he did do things wrong. You can't pretend he did nothing wrong because now Miles Edgeworth is not as fun anymore.
I want punished Ide, our version of Ide we've made up in our heads, and this Dan to like have a drink.
Here's the thing. They would be rivals.
They would be.
They would be rivals.
Yeah, that ends with one of them.
Jun is never coming back.
So Ide is the human who sides with the aliens, and Dan is the alien who sides with the humans.
It's perfect.
We could write such a fucking good Ultraman if they gave us the pen.
Yeah.
And we could speak Japanese.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out you don't need to do that. We've watched Ultraman Rising.
They did also entrust. I know what's in the future. I've taken the spice. Mel knows.
Taking the spice melange?
You mean you've looked at the spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, like I know enough about Ultraman to know we got some American.
Yeah, there's some foreign co-productions.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for spoiling. Now I feel like an asshole.
Yeah.
No,
you should feel
fine.
terrible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat you with a cane now.
No.
Yeah.
You're not even good at being a co-host.
Kerchow.
You're such a terrible
I don't know
podcast
why
co-host.
it said the Cars catchphrase for the cane hit sound effect.
Why did you say ka-chow?
I don't know.
Try and record a podcast by writing over. I'm like. Anyway, I got 3 other emails to get to.
Yeah, let's get to these other emails. I gotta eat.
Ult Q Lost Media ? From Harrison. Hey there, Ult Q Squad. Big fan of the podcast since I'm going through all of the Ultra series for the first time, since I've been a Godzilla fan my whole life. I want to bring your attention to a short 20-episode Ult Q sequel series that aired in 2011 titled Q Door to Another Dimension. I think this is one I actually think I may have heard of. It's
let me
the
find
original
this.
cast.
Creepypasta shit.
I can put the URL in the chat. When it says sequel, I think, but I believe my understanding is that it's like a series of shorts, not full length episodes.
Okay.
It does say running time 1 minute 30 seconds.
Yes. Yes. The original cast reprised their roles and sort of recap episodes of the original series while hanging out at a bar. I believe. My understanding is that this was like a thing they filmed because there was like in 2011 they were re-airing Ult Q on TV, and this is a fun thing to be like, hey, here's the thing we'll put at the end of the episode.
Oh, so it's like the Log Lady bumpers. I see.
Yeah. As far as I know, it's only included as a bonus feature in the Blu-ray box set for the colorized version. All Q is now super expensive, and nobody's archived the series online. I figured you could get the word out. I'll link, the link to the page, which I put there. But great podcast. Even if I have no idea what you're talking about when you reference Gundam, thanks for your time. Yeah.
I'm so happy we got one of those finally. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some people who listen to us who also don't watch the Ultraman, which is also a different experience.
We're the only three that understand us at any given time, and I think that's magical.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, this was one of the things where I was like, I'll probably have to pick up at some point, but just, I need to be financially stable. Also, there's just higher priorities than, like, Ultra Q thing that's like 1 minute, even if we also like those guys.
Yeah, this is currently $477 US.
Fuck. Yeah, like a gang Operation Mystery would be cheaper than that. By the way, thank you, Harrison. I think you reminded me. Next up is Cross Zeta for the first 6 episodes.
Hello.
Hello.
Cross Zeta here. Congrats on making it to Leo. It's extremely entertaining how much Dan is just putting Gan through the torture nexus. There's a lot of desperation in those aspects of... Lots of desperation in these episodes of Dan trying to get Gan into a position where Gan is able to protect the Earth from kaiju, as well as being able to protect the people that live here. The Jeep scene goes crazy. I can't believe they actually drove a Jeep at Rimatsu to film those scenes.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. The end episode for me this batch is episode 4, with a conversation between dying Dan and Gen training in the waterfall. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah. That's really the... The man in his weakest moment gets his weakness pointed out to him, and he immediately has to reassert his masculine authority.
Yeah. I do think... He's almost like rolling back a bit, but I do think the fact there's like a bunch of like Leo sickos congregating on our podcast does at least indicate, like, even if they're going to be hiccups, we'll probably still have a good time with this show.
I think so.
But we'll, subjectivity, we'll see.
We will see. We will see.
Thank you for your email. And finally, the last one, you can know who this is.
Hello, Cydrixa.
Yes.
Hello.
There's also the longest one. Okay. Okay, this is going to be a long one. Now that my initial gushing is done from last week, I'm going to give my actual constructive thoughts and everything, because this reference prize, I have capital letters, a lot, lowercase letters, to say about the show. First, though, I'm glad I fooled you all last week with the random Johnny and Monica bit, and I do hope you enjoyed Tomorrow's Calling. I did. 2 of you apologize right now.
I will.
I haven't done anything wrong. I pointed out that I was the one that pointed out you should you could watch it. And it was, if anything, I'm responsible for this. Everyone should be thanking me.
Nice.
No.
Okay.
Anyway, second, confirming what I said. Gen's actor sings not only the OP but also the Mac theme that we put in the ED for our podcast.
All right. Nice.
I'm bringing this up because the original vinyl single had this, the single hardest cover art you'll see in your life. Cedric sent me a spoiler tagged image in Discord and said not to open it until I got this part of the email, so I'm going to send it in the chat. Damn. Gonna post it in chat now that I've seen it.
Okay.
That's the vinyl cover art for the single.
That's pretty good.
I'm very glad to say that I recently managed to acquire this 7-inch, and suffice to say, has seen quite a amount of use so far.
Leo is doing this motherfucker's updating the TV tropes page, but you know.
It's all the jets, all the Mackies flying away from the space station.
They're called Mackies.
He's like, this guy's putting in wrong production detail on the wiki page. Sorry. Anyway, episode 1 and 2, what a start. You were very correct in your observation that the show is super focused on the Gen and Dan relationship and just decides to deliver the goods on that front almost immediately. trimming the fat of the usual Ultra first episode of here is human gets powers, fight monster, etc. The end not only makes the show stand out structurally, but also gets right to the season's USP more efficiently.
Oh, unique selling point.
Oh, unique selling point. Yeah. Gets the unique selling point more efficiently, and what a USP it is. The dynamic between Dan and Gan is immediately strong. Dan, the seasoned veteran, who's unable to do much now. Gan, the inexperienced rookie who, while having respect for his predecessor, is clearly way over his head and needs Dan's tutelage, even in spite of how much he doesn't necessarily want it.
Mm-hmm.
I find that at the start of the show, Dan is almost reluctant to take on the role of mentor. He's clearly been the captain of Mac for some time now prior, but his subordinates are capable already and just follow his direction. Gan, however, is a total outsider who Dan simply has to entrust the future of the planet to. The planet he's supposed to be responsible to this rookie. If Dan was just kept as a random original captor, the dynamic between him and Gan would have been good, but would still been good. But having him be Ultra 7 not only adds the overall ongoing plot to the franchise at large, but adds a layer of them two being aliens who have to try and live as humans at the same time. I also do think that me editorializing it is like the fact that like he's not just a human, but like an Ultra who lost his powers adds a lot of weight to his feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh, he's like, oh, I can't do this the way I normally could, and I have to trust someone who can, and watch them go, well, I can't do this, and you're doing it wrong. But I guess, we've talked about all this in the episode anyway. But does mean two of the aliens who try to live in a human. Okay, lost my spot. Damn. Having not as a layer of the layer of two of them. As a layer of the two of them being humans have to try and live as humans at the same time. They find solace in that, but doesn't mean that they can't just not come across as humans to the rest of the Mac or the general public. Gan immediately makes an impression as well, being the cocky, hot archetype, but is showing still owing a level of humility at the same time when he knows he's fucked up. It's honestly a genuine thought to consider when you're watching. Are the Gen in this particular situation? Are you Gen in this situation? Or are you more like Dan? Special mention: these first two episodes need to be given to the cinematography. The long take of the camera smiling around Dan and Gen on the beach is absolutely superb. Shame though about seeing the cameraman's footprints in the sand though. That's very funny. Plus the action sequences in the flood set are gorgeous, as you've definitely made out of. The show doesn't pull its punches with focusing on the loss. A prevailing theme of the season is loss and overcoming life's hardships, and who boy does that come into play into various ways throughout its run. 3 and 4, another highlight. Very raw, doesn't hold back. Episode 4, why that look, why those tears, are you going to use those tears to save the Earth? It is iconic for a reason. We really see a side of Dan of not just the burden of leadership, but the shame and frustration not being able to do anything, which coupled with increasingly dangerous kaiju and alien threats, I feel for sure explains some of his more violent tendencies in this episode and the next few. Not gonna lie, the bit where he thinks Gen is dead is slightly over-exaggerated visually. Him seeing Gen in the flower.
I think that's just perfect.
Not that I don't think Dan wouldn't be feeling what he does, but the directorial choices is a bit overblown. It's only episode 4 after all. This two-parter message is perseverance, which is certainly accomplished in communicating. Episode 5 is the one I feel should have come a bit later. It's great we're keeping continuity so tightly with Kaoru and Toru's dead dad, but the monster feature in this one is evidently meant to reflect Ultra 7, what the ice slugger throwing it does. If we're going to do new hero defeats evil representation of their master shtick, they should come maybe later down the line. I do get a kick out of the ridiculous training device in this one, though. I really like Toru and Kaoru's dynamic in this one. Plus, the music cutting off when Leo penetrates the monster with his own horn is amazing. The show may be good at handling these group topics, but rest assured the show does have its light or more fun-filled episodes. Finally, episode 6 is the one where people view the out-of-context clip of Dan trying to run over the Jeep and crap about Dan getting a character assassinated, which Tarai retort no, for all the reasons listed in episode 4 paragraphs ago.
I don't think the taking this out of context and laughing at it is unwarranted. I think this is
I think he just
this
means,
is the this is the most extreme. Go for
I
it.
think it just means more like if people not watching the show and saying they assassinated Dan's character should watch the show and having their opinion rather than just like seeing the clip out of context and only coming with
this is true, but
it is
I
ridiculous.
certainly understand why this is the
It's a
one
whiplash.
that goes around. This is like absolutely the most extreme that we've had so far of like, Dan, what is your fucking problem?
I particularly love the camera work and editing this one. The Leo tumbling, smash, cut to again falling to the floor is impeccable. Yeah, it is. That's what I talked about. So is the Carly, whatever the hell the Mac guy's name is, rounding the corner and Carly's just gone. Fantastic stuff. And another one with a good moral too. Anyway, my hands hurt. Goodbye, Citric Sir.
Thank you for your email.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking up the fourth co-host role again this season, it seems.
Yeah, basically, this show just fucking rules. I am like, it's, sort of adopting, it seems like, the sort of like, the slight Dan Doubter stance, which was perhaps not to be expected. I am like
number one stand from now. Hold on a second.
Listen,
but maybe it's because you're the most invested.
This is maybe true. Moroboshi Dan, that was my friend and hero.
Hashtag not my Dan.
This is simply a very grim interpretation of Dan that I think absolutely works in this show so far. But it is like, I can't really be like, oh yeah, that's my good friend Dan. He's such a hero.
Yeah.
And I had to be like, wow, I love Dan, that bastard.
I wonder if it keeps up the energy. Do you think they could keep it up the whole show, or do you think they have to like?
Because the reason it is working as well for me as it is because it is so over the top. Like I do feel if it becomes more mundane, I'm gonna be like,
It's if it was more normal, it would come across as more real, maybe. But
yes,
there are like real sections of this, in my opinion. There are like, like I said, I think the slap is like, weird. So apologies to that one person who emailed in. This is Gundam territory of like, we got ideas are being communicated about how these people communicate.
Yeah.
And when words fail them, when they can't express their emotions, and what they resort to. And also, yeah, the Gen Toru slap, I think, is a big deal. Anyway, I should stop talking now because it's nearly 8 p.m.
I should rewatch Gunbuster between now and next week because I'm so curious to revisit it with this new context.
I haven't watched this through high school.
Coach now comes off as... Go for it.
Oh, I was just saying I haven't watched it since high school, so I don't know how... It's not a show. It's not an OVA I'm necessarily eager to go rewatch. I've seen it. I got my fill of it, but same time,
Coach might now come across as kind of tame.
Yeah.
I feel like now I have the vocabulary to try and like watch that episode sick and go, let's see how they're drawing this black and white effect.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah.
Thank you everyone for your emails.
Yes.
If you want to follow us online, you can do so on Twitter and on Blue Sky. We are at ultra_QUEUE on Twitter, and we are at ultraQUEUE on Blue Sky. Mal.
Hi. You can follow me at Dick Crowns on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can send an email, which I guess this season you guys are suddenly, at ultraqpod@gmail.com. We have a coffee. That's UltraQ Fund. Completely unrelated. If you're listening to this episode the day it comes out, it's my birthday. No reason.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy
no reason.
birthday.
No reason. Don't. But also, last week, Catherine and I recorded the first 2 episodes of the Gamer Pod. The Turtle Tea Time. That first one, by the time you listen to this episode, will already have dropped. I did edit both of them because I guess I found a pipeline that makes it's like easy enough for me to do quickly enough. But also, I sure had to redo episode 2 because fucking Audacity is stupid.
Yeah.
But I'll keep episode 2 in the chamber because we're still not sure when to record next. So I'm not gonna put it out right away. I might want to space it out a bit for my sanity.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, look forward to those episode 1 this week, it'll be out. And episode 2, whenever that drops. I'll probably let you know when it's coming. And when we're recording next, so you can actually send an email for that. But make sure to put Gamer in the subject line, though, if you do, just so I know which emails to read on which day. Anyway, Brad.
Yeah, you can find me training for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves by, dodging crashing planes on tarmacs, because that seems to be the problem right now. Yeah, I'm everywhere at Be Invoked. That's BE_INVOKED. On the Twitter I never use, and I should probably stop plugging. Or BEINVOKED, all one word, on Blue Sky.
Nice. All right.
Go organize your Plex server.
I just use files. Just use a file directory. Just use MKVs and, raw MPV. Like, the MPV that turns off when you get to the end of an episode.
Ooh. Do you also listen to your music with Winamp?
I listen to music with VLC.
Wait, really?
I was listening, well, some, not,
I wish you could see the face I'm making right now.
I listened to the, fucking, because Bocchi Season 2 got announced, I was listening to the fucking Kesoku band, album on VLC.
So do you just do you just tether yourself to your computer when you listen to music?
I'm not on. I wasn't listening to it on my phone. I was literally just. I was just on my laptop. Doing
I guess
something
that's
else.
more normal, but I'm. You live your life.
Also, my headphones. Right, the phone that I have right now, my headphones do not work very well on them, which is very unfortunate.
Oh, that sucks.
So I would have to resort to Bluetooth headphones, and those sound terrible. So I don't really listen to music on my phone at the minute. I don't listen to music all the time, really.
Yeah, that's kind of me, but that's because I listen to podcasts, which is not you.
Well, yeah, I feel like I'm halfway between those two.
I like listening to albums.
I should do that more. I say giving myself more work to do.
It's good. Anyway.
It depends on the album.
It does. I mean, obviously it depends on the album.
Well, I can tell you an album that a Jigsaw thinks very highly. No, that's a single, actually.
Listen, sometimes a band is like, okay, you got 1 or 2 good songs an album.
Yeah.
Sometimes a band is a bunch of girls with a lot of problems.
I also have both of the Maiko albums on this laptop.
That Abe Majuki or whatever.
All right, Dad.
I like how you purposely mispronounce it, because the first time you said it a couple episodes ago, you said it correctly.
You've been listening to your Abe Majuki.
Well, let me tell you, they're coming out with that movie that's about a Miku who can't sing, and I simply would take lessons. Sorry, Miku.
Damn.
Is that the Project Sekai movie?
Yeah, it's called A Miku Who Can't Sing.
Oh.
It's like, well,
Maybe
that sounds like a skill issue.
But she's a program. She might just be broken.
What? I don't know the Project Sekai lore.
I don't either. I'm gonna be honest. Oh, this might be.
Does that song where she denies being a human? She's like, I'm a program.
Can we sneak?
Like, I got feelings, but I'm a computer program.
Can we sneak a hot take at the ass end of this episode that's gone on too long because we can't.
Wait, I'm really worried about what this hot take is gonna be. What? Okay, you can go.
I think 98% of Vocaloid music, I'm just like, I don't like this.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's fine.
I just don't like the robot voice. I really
Yeah,
can't
I
stand
mean,
it.
like, you know, if you're not like into the synthesized voice, like
Yeah, some of them are good. The Miku songs for Seventh Dragon I like, but there's a lot of them that I don't like this. I wish a person was singing.
Like, there's value in it as like a software that like opens up possibilities for people who want to make music who maybe don't have like.
Yeah, I respect it for
sing,
that. I also
but,
I
like,
think
you know,
the
it's
rhythm
still- it's
game
like-
stuff is cool, but just the actual like song, I'm just like I don't like the fake voice.
You need to hop on that fucking Switch Miku boxing.
I watched Fauna play that already, so I'm good.
Okay. This podcast is over.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Goodbye, everybody. I gotta go eat.
Me too. Later.